This is the ultimate mid-size premium SUV comparison. Mercedes GLC versus Audi Q5 versus BMW X3 versus Porsche Macan versus Lexus NX versus Genesis GV70. Which one is the best of these SUVs? Which one should you take home? Which one would I actually take home? And which one do you actually want? Tell me in the comments already right now if you have a favorite, and tell me later if you changed your mind. Let's dig into the details and check out every detail of every one of these vehicles. Let's go.
A new generation 4, the most important Mercedes model, the most sold one, the Mercedes GLC. This mid-size SUV here in spectral blue. My favorite color, Thomas blue, we call it here on Autogefühl. With Thomas, of course. And here in the front you can see this is the AMG line, sportier style. Panamericana grille it is called, is wider in the lower part and in the upper part. And this sportier micro star pattern for the AMG line here, really cool looking. Not too different from the previous generation, more an evolution in the design. But they have upgraded technology. LED headlamps are standard, optional the so-called digital light. This is like an extended high beam function where you can also have individual parts, then, you know, lighter or darker depending on what's coming ahead to you. Let's move on to the side profile. First of all, we can see 19-inch wheels here, but pretty thick tires, and here also in the rather aerodynamic AMG styling. And indeed, aerodynamics is something they have improved. For example, look at that here. The side mirrors have moved a little bit lower. Usually they would be here, and now they're more like coupe sports car attached, and this also to improve aerodynamics. 4.72 m or 186 inches in length means 6 centimeters or 2 inches longer than the previous generation, so a little bit longer just. And even more about aerodynamics, you can see here these side steps. They look pretty amazing, definitely, and they're not bad for aerodynamics. They actually also improve aerodynamics, very interesting. They've upgraded suspension-wise. Front and rear axle are completely new, give more comfort actually. And optional, also testing today, you can also pick the air suspension. The plug-in hybrid has it as standard on the rear, but you can also go for a full air suspension in front and rear axle. We also have it here for you today. The side profile, typical GLC with this coupe-alike style. Some nice shoulders. There will also again be a coupe version. This will be coming up later, so subscribe if you haven't done so far. And if you're a long-term subscriber, thank you even more. Wheel arches in the AMG line are painted in vehicle color. Otherwise, they would be contrasting in the normal lines. The AMG line, by the way, would also come with a sportier base suspension if you don't pick this optional air suspension. And even more technology, when we look at the rear axle, it's very interesting. 4.5 degrees, it can turn in the opposite direction when you have that rear axle steering. That is new with this new generation, has been introduced with the new C-Class, and indeed in this segment this sets both C-Class and GLC apart from the competition. And well, so far, maybe they'll do something about it, we'll see about that. And the thing is that the threshold weight changes from steering in the opposite direction to being in a parallel is about 60 kilometers an hour or 40 miles an hour. So at low speeds, it fakes a shorter wheelbase. It reduces the turning circle by about a meter or something. So indeed has a turning circle of a way smaller car then. That is of course a big advantage then. It comes together in a technology pack with air suspension and the rear axle steering. That's how they combined it actually. Towards the rear here, typical tail lamps that are more horizontally drawn by the recent Mercedes design, GLC 300. This is the volume model, well together maybe also with the GLC 250. In each the 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol engines, soon more about the engines, but this is basically as it stands here now, maybe not with all the bells and whistles, but the most sold Mercedes at this moment. 4MATIC all-wheel drive. In the US you will also get rear-wheel drive. You get a rear-wheel bias even though you have all-wheel drive. In the lower part, these are typical fake exhaust, and of course the Autogefühl fake exhaust police is there for you. Well, the real exhaust is underneath. Yeah, and the AMG line, they always want to do these sporty design elements, also here then with the high gloss black and so on. Do you like it? Well, here on our channel, most don't like fake exhaust, but rather an honest design. But definitely from all the things we heard so far, hardware-wise, technology changes, this is very promising for the driving part today. And turning indicators or hazard lights, not that spectacular here in the rear, but looks a little bit fancier in the front, doesn't it? And the secondary vehicle here, diamond white for a color difference. Here also in the AMG line, and this one is also equipped with the night package, so you have more black accentuations, also here in the side mirrors and also the frames around the windows. This vehicle is also equipped with 20-inch wheels. You can see here the larger wheels, they look really, really impressive. And of course, once again, the black contrast to the white exterior color. Do you like this one better, or you rather prefer the blue one we've shown to you? Or what about here, the graphite gray? So indeed, it's not black. Black would be even darker, so a lighter than graphite gray here with 19-inch wheels. Once again, AMG line. You will have two lines basically. Here, the AMG line we've shown to you today, or then alternatively the Avantgarde, which is also then again already the base trim level. This new car key is pretty cool. Here, matte design and also quite heavy, so that feels premium indeed. And door closing sound. Not that good actually, and also you have to really slam the door when you do it like this. It's because the car is so well insulated, I guess, that it doesn't, so you really have to slam it, and then yeah, it doesn't have the best sound, but it has good materials on the inside. This is a high-grade leatherette called MBTEX in US, Artico in Europe, for example, and really very well executed. This new design I don't like that much because you cannot move these anymore. They do control the seats, but they don't give you this moving feedback. You can also get leatherette seats with seat cooling, then it would appear here. It's an option. 15 speakers, sound system here, Burmester. This is a very cool sound system indeed. A lot of space here in the pockets, and then the new cockpit layout. This has changed massively indeed. So you have new digital instruments, you have a new infotainment system, sumo deals for that. This is the AMG line steering wheel. It handles better, it looks cooler here with the two horizontal fins or spokes. However, you have capacitive BS buttons here, so not too well to control while driving. Now, by the way, at dark, you can see here ambient lighting at the inside of the air vents. That looks pretty amazing. And did it just change the color as well when standing still here? It does actually, so pretty cool. And the seats, they are also new, and for example in Germany or Europe you can also get microfiber or fabric. In the US and also in Europe you can get these here, the full Artico seats. So this is all the high-grade leatherette, super soft indeed, and as I said, also available with cooling, so very nicely executed. You can see already the perforation that is basically then ready for that cooling option. As for the seat ergonomics, I feel that Mercedes at this moment for the new vehicles are not best as for seat ergonomics, and especially I think that the bigger vehicles and the electric vehicles lack in that. Here it's actually quite okay. I would still say that some of the competitors, for example, like the Volvo XC60, for example, or the BMW X3, have some better base seat ergonomics. However, the material, the soft leatherette, that feels actually quite nice and adapts also well to the body. So it's not bad or something, but they could also improve the ergonomics a little bit more, I think. With 189 or 6'2", you still have some headroom left, although this is the one here also with the panoramic roof. You can have this shade, very important when it's really hot that you still have the shade. And this is also a panoramic roof you can indeed still open. With these sliders here, also not too good to control it while driving. I really prefer the real knobs in there. However, this unit looks pretty cool, and once again with the ambient light. So design-wise with ambient lighting integration, that's where they really score it always. And the steering wheel up and down, in and out, electric away here. So this is also easy to adjust. Yeah, you're right, I didn't show it. There we are. Now finally opening the panoramic roof. And it's really quite large indeed. Please, right? Let's keep it, yeah. So here we go. Whoa, that looks impressive, doesn't it? And especially here, this matte wood area, that is cool. However, here the catch is that when you have the great matte wood here, you cannot go for another option with the high gloss black. And this high gloss black area is not that cool. But there are other combinations where you cannot have this one here. Yeah. So you have to look in the configurator in your market. This is then here the 11.9-inch screen vertical way. On the other side, 12.3-inch digital instruments. Once again, the sporty AMG style steering wheel. The other one would have one spoke here, shifting pedals. So overall design was really cool. Also with the air vents, they have nice clicking sound here, for example. And yeah, I'm not sure if you can already see it on camera here with the ambient light integration, so that looks really amazing. But what about the functionality? Well, to control the digital instruments, you can here have the capacitive buttons. To do that while driving is really not that ideal. And then you can also, for example, switch the view, have a GPS view in there. But the thing is, that works indeed for the car internal GPS. But when we, for example, go for, like Apple Maps, I don't know, search a fuel station, you see that I put a route here, and the only thing that happens here is this. So BMW, for example, now offers that when you have CarPlay and Apple Maps on the right side, that you also have it on the left side. And when you have Android Auto and Google Maps, that's also then here on the left side. Not possible here. But you can go for other stylings, for example, a sports styling here in the instruments. They look pretty cool though. This is the MBUX infotainment system. You can see directly the map here. Also the car internal GPS map has the satellite view if you like. It's actually decently fast enough. When you have the climate unit here on, it is always in that area, it stays in that area, 2-zone AC. It's hard to do that while driving because you have no physical button, but at least it stays in this area. This is also always the home menu. And you have, for example, also some off-road settings. Soon going to show you the special off-road see-through view camera, by the way. That's a very interesting thing. And let's take a look at the rear view camera when we turn on the vehicle. That's like this. Great resolution. So this is the basic rear view and also front view camera. And the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto integration looks like this. This here, the Apple CarPlay. Here we go. So I think the system is, good in a way. It has a good response to the things you do with the vehicle. It could be a little bit faster maybe. It's not the, most obvious one. Sometimes the layers are a little bit too complicated deep in the menu, but overall I think so far we can be quite satisfied. In here, there's the transparent bonnet feature. So this is not a live feed. It is calculated by the image around, and this is the live image. And then I've put this rock right there. When I go forward, then you can see the image is being built up, and this is then not a live image, but it's a past image. But you can see here, the sense behind it is that I see where is the rock underneath the vehicle, and it's exactly in this position, even though it's calculated. And that's sitting around. And see it here, then it's gone, and then it builds up, and I don't see it anymore. But the reason behind it is, once again, I can show you it with the rock here. There we go, once again, that when you go forward, you know where the rock is, and that you don't drive over it, or maybe it damages your wheels from the side and so on, and this really then prevents tire damage. Hey Mercedes.
How can I help?
Open the sunroof.
I'm opening the sunroof.
Hey, well, that's a useful feature. And I don't have to use the touch thing to open it. Well, so voice recognition does work. The good thing here with the Mercedes is it has some car features integrated, like for example sunroof and so on. Or maybe like a steering wheel heating you could also activate by that if you have one. And the Burmese sound system, wow, it's really top-notch, amazing. Ooh. Head-up display is clear to read and also includes some GPS infos. You can also change these colors here individually yourself, but also when you control the climate unit here, warmer temperature or colder, then it changes color, really amazing. And even cooler, it is a 2-zone AC, so that means when you can have, like, see, it is then split. The middle one stays neutral, the right one then for the passenger, the left one for the driver, depending on the temperature. Yeah, I'm doing the temperature DJ here now. Rear seating area from the build quality, it's really very nice. Again, here also at the inside of the door, soft touch leather red once again. And here with a very clean design, also, that looks quite cool. Just, this high gloss piano lacquer thing, it looks cool when it's clean and without dust and without fingerprints and so on. The rear seating space here is you fit in with at least four tall adults. Here when the seat is a little bit higher, this recess fits better. But using that platform space, in a GLB, for example, you have even more legroom when you want to save some money. But this is more the premium approach here. Headroom, no problem. And in the middle seat, It works, yeah, so it works with 512Ls. And once again here, this new soft touch leatherette has also good seating comfort here for the rear. So it's very cozy here in the rear. Yeah, could be a little bit more legroom for tall people, but still okay. In the middle part here, there's cup holders. This is like the smartphone holder, like this, and for adaptive cup holders, and 2x ISOFIX here. And well, the door there, when Michelle is standing there, it doesn't open 90 degrees, but wide enough that you can install these child seats. The boot volume is larger now at 600 liters, and yeah, there's a very good storage area here. You can see easily 1 meter or 40 inches in width. We can store a lot of things here, and let's get rid of some. You can see here that plug-in hybrid would have a small step in here indeed. This one here, the pure petrol engine, still has a lot of space underneath. That's cool. Or maybe also a replacement tire. Then here the length is about 95 centimeters or 37 inches, and the total height is here at 75 centimeters or 29 inches. As for folding the seats, it's a very good mechanism here, and this is how it's supposed to be, really easily done. Then you can have this one, here's an SUV, of course use it like an estate, 175 in centimeters or 69 inches. I always measured it here because this is in the shortest way, but overall very satisfied with the loading area. Under the hood, it's all about 2-liter 4-cylinder engines, petrol and diesel, and plug-in hybrids, both for petrol and diesel, in around 100 kilometers or 60 miles of pure electric range. However, this one here today, this is the main engine, a 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol engine in the GLC 300. It makes 258 horsepower and 6.2 seconds is the acceleration figure. All-wheel drive, as I said, has a rear-wheel bias then, and for some markets there will also be rear-wheel drive only versions. What's also interesting is that I forgot what I want to say now. Now remember, there's one exception to the 4-cylinder setup. There will be a 6-cylinder diesel at a later stage, and towing is 2.4 to maximum 2.5 tons. The all-wheel drive distribution, by the way, is fixed. It's a permanent all-wheel drive when you have that AVWD, and 45% in the front, 55% in the rear. Welcome, new GLC, sports mode, acceleration, let's go. That was 0 to 90 kilometers an hour, so almost to 100 kilometers or 60 miles. 90 is here the speed limit. And the acceleration figure is, just around 6 seconds, so that's pretty decent here with the GLC 300. That's also, I would say, the recommended engine. The little bit less horsepower spec is also fine. This here the 2-liter 4-cylinder, and in the US you can get it with rear-wheel drive. Petrol engine here, and otherwise in Europe with all-wheel drive. Still a rear-wheel bias then. In the sports mode, everything is set on a sportier node with more throttle input, for example. Steering, let's see how that changes. Feels quite natural, feels good to control. Comfort mode, steering gets lighter. Here also the air suspension is put in optionally, and that gives a soft, nice ride. However, when we are in the sport mode, then once again, then it gives a little bit more feedback. And indeed, Mercedes is usually in the base versions that they more set tone on comfort than sportiness, but here in the new generation, the car feels definitely sportier than before. Here we have these very, very nice roads outside of Barcelona, like an hour north, so like, direction of the Pyrenees, really, really nice. And yeah, it feels, very good as for the whole driving feeling, as for the sporty handling. So this definitely an improvement to the previous generation. Talked about it in the interior. As for the user interface, also while driving, with the new screen, climate controls, capacitive BS buttons at the steering wheel. This is to me, whoa, that's dirty here on the road. Very dirty. So I like the user interface better with the previous generation, but driving wise, yeah, this is really cool. And it still feels to me that this is said in the initial part, also in the initial review, that this is more an evolution of the vehicle. And this is to me not a bad thing, because this kind of feels that they had something to work with and could improve that. So everything that is hardware-wise really feels very nice and very balanced indeed. Yeah, switching the driving modes, either you can pick here and then click it there, or you can click that directly through here. But most of the time you would need to watch that screen, so it's also not ideal. But you can also more or less keep it in comfort mode. That's also fine, because when you pin it down with the foot, then you also have access to all that power. And again, I feel the steering setup is really nice and natural. You can also pick something in between. For example, like you say you want the comfortable suspension, but you want the better feedback from the steering wheel, then you can go to this individual driving mode and then set it up here. Also takes a while, but to do that while driving is once again a little bit complicated. Better do that when standing still. And here, for example, then you go to steering and put the steering to sport. Now I have a comfortable suspension, but I have a little bit more feedback in the steering wheel, and that's to me, for example, a likable choice. The car feels sporty, at the same time it can feel calm, especially when you switch back then to the comfort mode. So from the whole, oh, there's the police. Wasn't me. Looked a little bit suspicious. I was using his walkie-talkie then, the radio. Were we too fast? I don't think so, right? Do you also have that? Even when you didn't do anything wrong and the police at the side of the road, you're like, shh. Oh, did I start to say it? Sorry. Did I something wrong? Yeah, that's maybe, I don't know, guilty conscience. Of course, I never exceed the speed limits. Never. So back to the vehicle. Here, countryside road, I can always set the cruise control. And this car more or less drives itself now. Soon we'll also hop to the motorway. The head-up display is really very crisp. I have it very well in my line of sight and large. I also have the GPS running from the car here at the moment. So I have a good, like a small map overview inside there too. What I really like are some emotional elements also while driving, like the air vents, which have the ambient lighting inside. It was raining pretty heavily earlier, and then you could also see when it was darker that it's illuminated at night. And that's really very, very cool. And the seats, to be very precise, the ergonomics would be better, but the surface is really comfortable. That's to be very precise about the seats. As for the instruments, I can very well read them. This is not a huge change. Better, like bigger change from the previous generation is really more the screen here in the middle. I do prefer it if you compare it to the hyperscreen in the EQS or EQE or something there. This is here, from C-Class, S-Class, in the new generations, more or less you get used to it. But it's not the fastest way to interact with the car while driving, definitely. As for roundabout visibility, you feel that this hasn't changed much. So it still feels classic like GLC. And if you now compare internally from Mercedes, the other SUVs like GLA, GLB, this one here feels a little bit more sophisticated. You get the air suspension as an option. It feels indeed more like an upmarket vehicle. Whereas when you switch to the bigger GLE, the GLE offers to me more comfort, especially seating ergonomics wise, and the whole size of the car just brings more calmness to the drive. This one here would be your pick if inside the Mercedes SUV portfolio you want the one that feels the most upmarket, but at the same time is the sportiest. That would be the combination you would be looking for. Of course, the price is really hefty always for the GLC. And yeah, if I directly compare again the previous generation to this new one in the driving, I think they really improved. It feels even better. It's sportier and more comfortable at the same time. So great hardware engineering work. It's just that user interface and software-wise, yeah, this can do more, but it has also become more complicated. That's a little bit the catch they have here, I think. And now to some motorway driving, today here in Spain. And first thing that comes to your mind is it is super silent in here. So at the moment 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour. Now we have to slow down just a little bit. But very relaxing and silent, and that does fit to the air suspension setup here, the optional air suspension we have. Really a nice soft ride, dampening everything out. Not too soft though, it's really nicely tuned. And you really get the calm, relaxing feeling. Then fitting also these very soft leatherette seats, Artico or Ambitex, however they're called in your market. They're really soft and comfortable. That's really pleasing. And for hotter temperatures like today, you can also get a seat ventilation. You just have to opt for this option. In Germany, by the way, we say Sonderausstattung for the extras. Listen and repeat. Sonderausstattung. Like special equipment, or like that's how extras are called, like direct translation. Oh, and there's Spanish police coming up. And by that way, we can also test the assistance systems. Here, adaptive cruise control, so we want to keep the speed. Now they're coming to the camera. Hello, police. Hola, Spanish police. Policía. And we can also increase it here. Doing that with the hashtag capacitive BS buttons is not the most pleasing thing to do, actually. So that is a little bit irritating. You have to slide for individual steps and press for bigger steps, for 10 kilometer steps then in this case. Not very intuitive to do it while driving when you don't have this haptic feedback from a real button. However, lane is being kept also in a smooth way. Look at here, the transition between these two motorways, very nicely done. So as for assistance systems and also the noise installation, definitely an upgrade if you compare it to the previous generation. However, what is an inherent problem with the GLC and also with the new C-Class, especially when you compare it here to the previous generation, you feel a little bit caged in here. So it doesn't let you move freely. Other SUVs in this segment have more a driving position and the cockpit to let you breathe. This one here is rather set on, hey, it's a very sporty layout and we have this sports car caged in. Cockpit just is built around you, and that might feel sporty and cool in one way, but on the other hand it also limits the space you feel here, and a traveling feeling doesn't come up by that case, you know. Traveling feeling by the good noise installation and the nice seating comfort and the nice seat material and so on, and the good assistance systems, yes, but not with the limited space we have here around, especially here for my legs, for the knees and so on. So this is something I would like to see improved. Here, by the way, it's a red triangle also, the blind spot monitor, and if you hit the turning indicator while that is active, you also get an acoustic warning as an additional warning then. So this is also a very good feature. You should always get that. Blind spot monitor is really, to me, one of the most essential features actually. But overall, because even though we're caged in here a little bit, it might not be a thing for people that are a little bit less tall than me or something. So not most ideal for tall people, although headroom wise it's definitely okay. It's still overall a good result. And talking about good results, also for the fuel economy, so this 2-liter 4-cylinder with mild hybrid technology, increased efficiency, and you can actually, when you have more like cruise control, 100 kilometers, 60 miles an hour, so best ideal conditions, you can score some 7.5 liters on 1 kilometer, so some 30 mpg plus US and even towards 40 mpg UK. This is like the best consumption possible, you know, when you have really everything set on a very rather lower speed and always steady speed and so on. This is very interesting. Of course, when it's a little bit more agile, then it gets worse, but fuel economy definitely also step up from the previous generation.
The most important and most sold BMW model worldwide is the BMW X3 today in a facelift version here on Autogefühl with Thomas. And let's take a look here in the front. The front double kidney here is now a little bit higher, even more massive vertical fins. In the X4, by the way, you have a dot structure on the inside, very interesting. And new matte colors. 3 matte colors are available in blue, white, or here in, well, you can say black, but they actually call it frozen deep gray metallic. So Is it black or gray? Tell me in the comments. Maybe it's also a thing, you know, male and female. You know, women always see different colors, where we are always like, this is black, yellow, blue, and that's it, you know. Yeah, you know about this. Then lower part, either it comes standard now as a off-roadish look, which was formerly the X line. Then you have a gray accentuation lower part, or here this is the M Sport model, so you have it in the high gloss black, depending on what you like best. The headlamps are now flatter here from the integration. LED is standard, then the adaptive matrix LED, and this is the option. These are the BMW laser lights with the blue accentuations, even more high beam range, up to 650 meters. Yeah, unless you're in the US, that's not allowed yet for, you know, to have the full extension. Yeah, strange rules indeed. But definitely a very strong look here already in the front. We have here today, by the way, 20-inch wheels mounted, really massive. You can see them right here. These are of course an option. And once again, the M Sport model, you can also see the badge right here. Length remains at 4.71 meters or 185 inches, mid-size SUV. And this is also what makes it so successful, because it has kind of the right size, not too big, but also not too small. In the M Sport model, we also have the dark frames here around the windows. I more prefer chrome, but this one, of course, here together with the paint, the most sinister look ever for an X3 we had so far, definitely. Wheel size, by the way, range between 18 and 21 inch. Said earlier, these are the 20-inch ones. Well, suspension, you can also get an adaptive suspension. This is also a very interesting feature, and they're doing a very good job, so you do not miss an air suspension or something. And new feature actually in the facelift, the tail lamps already beginning here in the side profile. And here we are, new tail lamp style, very extravagant, so you really see directly this is the facelifted version. And a very clean design overall. They reduced some elements as well. Here the M Sport has these additional sporty elements, however. And then in the lower part, here with the X3, they still use real exhaust tips. So no job for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police today. So it has kind of the same form than, you know, just like the fake tips. But here in these dissolves from that real exhaust. Yeah, quite interesting. By the way, advantages, disadvantages. On the one hand, the fake tips are sometimes a little bit pathetic. On the other hand, you know, in terms of very small crashes from the rear, of course, they protect the real exhaust tips a little bit better. But what about you? Do you think this, the real thing, is better, or wouldn't you mind? Turning indicators in the front, it replaces here one part of the signature. Very beautifully done. And in the rear, also very cool idea. So these new tail lamps signature here houses then the indicator in the middle. This here with a normal gray metallic color. Here you can see how the standard line now looks like. So the standard model now has this so far X line design here with the contrasting matte gray. This looks really cool. So a more off-roadish look for most X3 that will be on the market now. And this also accounts here for the side. Here the side bumper also with the contrasting matte silver style, and also then here for the rear. So once again, this is the base model now. In this case, the plug-in hybrid, but for all base X3 here, then this contrasting lower part. I think that looks way better than the M Sport model in this, you know, high gloss black trim. This just adds so much cool off-roadishness to it, doesn't it? And this is a top sports model, the X3M Competition. New color here for that one as well. This is not the matte color, but here, yeah, clearly the Thomas Blue color here on Autogefühl. This would be my absolute favorite color. They are just restricted to the M vehicles. Yeah, so probably would have to get an M for that then, right? This is the Marina Bay Blue Metallic. As for engines, you have a set of engines here in the BMW X3. So you have 2-liter 4-cylinders and 3-liter 6-cylinders, both on petrol and diesel side. You have a petrol plug-in hybrid, and then also the full electric iX3. So basically a very wide range of different powertrains. Today, 6-cylinder time. Trunk space, here electric hatch. There we go. And this is here the cover without rails at the side, but it's actually quite okay. And then this is the maximum size, and if I also fold the seats, of 1,560 liters overall. And this counts for all models except the plug-in hybrid, which has a step in there. Here, sample luggage easily fits also in upright. Then the width is actually even a little bit longer than 1 meter or 40 inches. So that's a very good result. See here, even a little bit more. This is 1 meter or 40 inches, even here. And the normal length here to the seats is 93 centimeters or 36 inches below here. You can see some more space. So, and then we can also fold this other part right here, and see here it folds flat very easily. Car keys, limit light, and also with the colors here with the M Sport package, door closing sound. Okay, but not super exceptionally or something. Then soft touch here and also softer here, also for your elbows. This is actually reasonably soft. Good build quality also for the door handles and so on. And I really like this stamped in X here. Yeah, optional Harman Kardon sound system. Can recommend it for music lovers indeed. Then the M Sport package also in this case today on the interior, also here, for example. Heated steering wheel button is always there. And I like that we still have manual steering wheel buttons, the real deal, not the hashtag capacitive curse or something. Then you can see here, these are the animal skin seats, but they are big news for the seats because now in this facelift you have 4 different new choices of SensorTech seats, perforated SensorTech. They look almost the same. I will soon show you that. We have a car here today also which has this, and they are available then in black, beige, brown and red. Just the UK market does not get the beige seats. Probably BMW is afraid that you spill your tea on it, you know, and in Germany we get the beige SensorTech seats because German beer has the same color anyway, you know. So 1.86 or 6'1", still enough headroom left here. Comfortable seating position and steering wheel in and out, very smooth process, and you can easily find a good seating position already. This king of the road experience, although it's not the biggest full-size SUV, but you already have a grown-up SUV feeling. Interior overview with a clean design and still a good user interface because you have manual climate unit right here, or just deactivated, there we go. So manual climate unit, easy to control while driving, also with the volume knob, but also volume controls at the steering wheel, manual shifting pedals and so on. This is what we still need. You have a combination, and because you also have digital gauges, 5-inch on the left side and 10.25 on the right side would be standard. The BMW Live Cockpit is now standard, so like this, and this then is the bigger screen, optional 12.3. If you go for BMW Live Cockpit Professional option, you get 12.3 inch here and also 12.3 inch digital instruments. So this full setup then right here. Zoom out details to each of the screens. Then in the lower part, you have another nice X3 stamping in here. Then you open this one here. This is not an, this one here is not an inductive charging pad, by the way. Here USB-A charger, and then you have the cup holders. They are adaptive. And here the classic shifting lever. And now what's interesting, sport, comfort mode, but there's not this adaptive mode anymore because hardly anyone used it. This ball now goes for the hill descent control and this auto hold. So the auto hold function to deactivate it or activate it is now instead of the adaptive driving mode. Still this classic knob here also to change something in the digital infotainment screen while driving, and you can also write something on that when you want to put in address. And here, very well attached with more space underneath. But the X3 does offer an option of an inductive charging pad. We have another vehicle where it has this function here. So there, oh, and Schmoozy is recharging. So the only thing is our vehicle today did not have this option because of the supply chain problems for the semiconductors. So this is also a thing where it comes apparent for the car industry. But we could still find a vehicle with an inductive charging pad. BMW operating system 7, and I really like this, the best system that BMW has. Yes, it's better than the new OS 8 indeed. Really fast, very responsive, very clear to read, and you can easily also switch then to the Apple CarPlay here, for example. Goes all the way over the screen, nice integration, and this Harman Kardon sound system has a very nice, clear sound, so I can just recommend it indeed. And voice input, either Hello BMW or here this button. Set temperature to 22 degrees.
All right. I set
go.
the temperature in the driver's area on 22
that works.
degrees Celsius.
The only thing is you have to have the engine started for that. You cannot do that while stationary, but then again, while stationary, it's also easy to do that. But this is one example for the voice control. Digital instruments, very clear to read. I really like them. They're not that adjustable. What you can do is here assisted systems view, or here change the map view. That's what you know is more useful while driving probably. And when Michelle revs it now, yeah, here we go. This view does not show the rev counter here. So, but when we, for example, go to sports mode, and then you can see this does show this rev counter. So it adapts then indeed according to the driving mode. Here this is the eco mode. I cannot see it. So yeah, definitely sport mode is the coolest, right? Head-up display, speed, loud speed, and also arrows, or even in intersection when you're approaching it. And yeah, you can, for example, also change the height. This looks so weird, right?
Looks like a 90s game.
Yeah, Michelle said it looks like a 90s game. Or what about the rotation? Yeah, Space Invaders or something. Yeah, really funny. Ambient lighting, you can pick some different colors. Of course, I would always go for Thomas Blue, but you can also get different ones right there. You can see it here in the rear, for example, but it's also in the front. Rear seating area, let's check out that. By the way, at the inside of the doors, you also have a soft touch here on the top part. That's good. And also, again, this X stamping here. And you see here with 4 tall adults, it's no problem, directly fits. So this, when I have the driver's seat to my position and 1.86 or 6'1" here in the rear, also no problem as for the headroom. There is a substantial middle tunnel because it's a rear-wheel driven platform, and of course most have all-wheel drive. So you can see here 2 USB-C chargers here now in the middle part, and sitting in the middle part is actually quite okay. That works as well. Of course, the outside seats are more comfortable, and also with ISOFIX. And here you can use this one as a ski hatch, or pull this one down and then have adaptive cup holders in the rear. Oh, and this one here adjusts the back part of the rear bench, so you more can have this sleeping position or more upright style, depending on what your mood is. And here in this vehicle, we do have the new standard SensaTech seats. First of all, the sport seat is now standard. So this seat form is now the standard seat worldwide for the X3. And also here then you can see the perforated SensaTech. So this is a high-grade leatherette. It's animal-free, but no one could tell. It's very soft. Perforation for more breathable functions while driving, especially in summertime, for example. And really high quality. Look at that, how soft it is. And yeah, the whole surface is really perfect. To me, it makes an even better impression than the animal skin surface. Really cool. And again, standard for all the X3 and even X4 models. And available black, beige, brown, like it is here, or in red. And that's very cool. Here, the SensaTech seats, even perforated in the rear. So you get the very same quality for the rear seats than for the front seats, because quite often you see it in vehicles that, for example, the rear seats have the cheaper materials or something, or then are not perforated when the front is perforated. And here actually the very same, both front and rear. And we also have this vehicle here equipped with the panoramic roof. This is an option, so it has a shade actually, not powered fully at the moment, so it has a shade, and also you can open it completely. Welcome here. Woo! All-wheel drive acceleration, rear bias, and yeah, it's a very good balanced feeling you have here already when accelerating out. So X3 and X4 also in this facelift remain this rear bias from that all-wheel drive. So most models of course come with all-wheel drive, and in the sport mode they give you some extra punch. You also hear that the RPMs are a little bit higher than you usually have a gear lower than in this sporty mode. And we can also show you an acceleration here with the 6-cylinder diesel we have in our test today. This is here from 30 kilometers an hour to 100. That's it. So really powerful, very nice. And at the same time you can go back to the comfort mode. Then the gears are shifted up a little bit, just more, subtle feeling overall. About the diesel discussion in general, they are going back in the registrations. However, the BMW 3-liter 6-cylinder diesel is to me the best diesel engine there is on the market. So if diesel is still a thing for you, this one would be the one to go for, because it is very powerful, has actually a nice sound, and even has very good fuel economy. And there is a tractor in front of the road, but why is that guy not overtaking? There we go. Yeah, that's of course good here to have power when overtaking. Yeah, it's really nice. So just on the whole driving characteristic, this 3-liter 6-cylinder diesel by BMW is very, very good indeed. By the way, sport mode here from the steering, you have quite good feeling of that. In the comfort mode then, it's a little bit lighter. So here in this area here is more for running straight. And then you get a little bit more feeling to the outsides each. But the whole vehicle is very, very well balanced. We also have one of the best suspensions there is on the market. So in the bigger BMW models, the adaptive suspension is to me one of the best suspensions there is. It does not make you miss an air suspension. The suspension logic here for the X3 is base suspension, fixed sport suspension. You can have that for the sport models, or then the adaptive suspension. And then if you have a sport model, it has a sporty touch then each.
But no, I want traffic information. Yeah, this rather was distracting than giving me some good information. I usually have them deactivated actually. So the adaptive suspension here in a normal mode, very good balance of comfort and sportiness. And when you go for the sport mode, yeah, the only thing that's kind of distracting to pick it in the middle console. So in the sporty mode, you have a little bit more feedback in from a suspension. That's good. For example, also for some sporty maneuvers here on the motorway. You can also shift down yourself here, for example, and then you also have a quicker acceleration from that. So using these shifting pedals, also a lot of fun. Here now on the motorway, let's test the high-speed features. It's always good to check the noise insulation, for example. Here we go, and we are already at 140 kilometers an hour. Well, we can go a little bit faster today. So that's a good thing always when we're in Germany here on these motorways. And recently it was agreed that the new government in Germany will not put the absolute speed limit. So yeah, all racers are saying like, yes! I always see like, split. It's for our tests, it's great, and I'd like to drive very fast myself. But for a whole society, it can also be clever to limit the speed. So I think it's not black and white only, So here now at 150 kilometers an hour. So yeah, that's about. Damn, I need to show this. There's this double speed option for BMW, right? So I don't have to calculate kilometers to miles per hour. This is also a thing, by the way, here while driving. So you can do something in the infotainment system. Of course, better to set the cruise control. Here, instrument cluster, and then there, convert the speed. There we go. 140 kilometers an hour, yeah, about 90 miles an hour. Thank you, BMW. Because you can also not see it on the camera, because that's the only thing with the BMW reviews. Our camera always, the steering wheel is always blocking the speed view because the speed is here on the left side. Only the true M models have the speed on the very middle part when you go into this M mode. That's the thing, So we have to tell you the speed then. And yeah, my point was, I can control something of the infotainment system while driving in a way that I don't have to do this. I really can use this knob in the lower part, and I still like to have this one here as an option that we can use that one. So that's also my part in the interior. Or my point in the interior part was that this vehicle here offers a very good user interface because it mixes modern elements like the OS 7 system with hard buttons we can still use, and that's to me so much better than some of the all-new vehicles we see, which capacitive curves only, capacitive buttons here, only touchscreen stuff there, and so on and so on. One more time, sport mode, 120 kilometers an hour to 200 kilometers an hour. Still it's going. And here we go, 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. And there you can see really good from noise insulation. It's not too loud, sound deadening is really well done. Such a high ride quality from the X3, and the suspension does a great job once again. Wow. Yeah, Michel's also taking off his headphones and saying like, wow, that's not too loud in here. I mean, it's really high speed and we are in an SUV. So very impressive what they do here with sound deadening. And when you go for normal motorway speeds, like now going back to 120 kilometers an hour, that's 75 miles an hour. Here setting the cruise control, great performance. This is something you can sustain for hours actually. Then this is also equipped here with the most elaborated assistance system. So you can set the cruise control, and also it's the lane keeping assistant. If I provoke it a little bit, it's first here blind spot monitor because the car is coming from behind. But I'm not sure if any camera can pick it up. So it's a yellow triangle in the side mirror. So here if I provoke the vehicle to run off-road a little bit here, and then you can see here it counter steers, keeps me in the lane. Also very well done. So top notch as for the assistance systems. And the thing is, they are also very reliable. And sometimes people are also thinking, what about Tesla? They have the camera-based systems and they have so much data and so on. But I can clearly say the BMW assistance systems, to me, probably are the best on the market at the moment because they're most reliable. I never had a situation where it's like, this was a false negative or a false positive. Whereas, for example, with the Tesla autopilot, it's so many times that the car was braking, but it was not supposed to be braking or something like these, So Yeah, that's very interesting thing to know for sure. So really feeling at home here on the motorway. The difference, by the way, here, the animal skin seat to me feels stiffer than the new Sensatec high-grade leatherette seat. So definitely stick with the base seats and not go for this ones we have here at the moment. Showed it to you earlier. Yeah, and they also do not have the perforation. The perforation also adds more comfort, definitely, while driving. So once again, we know why the X3 is the most sold BMW model, because it just has the best balance, you know. You have upright seating position, you have good comfort, you have substantial size on the interior, but then again, not the biggest size on the exterior. The X1, of course, would be more practical and better as for the price performance. Yes, that's true, because it does not offer the 6-cylinder engines, therefore has a shorter hood and has shorter, you know, road impact. But then again, that's 6-cylinder though, right? And that's, you know, the case then also where it's fun even if you drive it as the diesel.
Run, Forest, run for the Porsche Macan T, a new unique model in the Macan lineup. Porsche wants to put a 4-cylinder Macan model in a sporty, unique direction. Does that work? 4-cylinder to be a more, one of the most unique models? But maybe it does. It worked for the Boxster T so far, for example, for the 718 models. And here now, the Macan T gets grey accentuations right here as a special unique color. This review also about the facelift of the Macan. First time we have the 4-cylinder facelift here. So all the details you need to know about that. Papaya is the color for today. New graphic element here, also with this kind of 3-dimensional stamping in the front. So a very interesting approach already visually wise, and the 4-cylinder is a little bit lighter on the front axle. Well, we'll try out. Here is Thomas and Autogefühl. We'll drive up the Col de Turini. This is kind of like the King's Stage on the Rally Monte Carlo, and we'll find out how agile this Macan T is. 4.73 meters or 186 inches is the length of the Macan, and you can see here the Macan T gets new interesting accentuations. It starts with 20-inch wheels. We can also see them here. The reason they don't look so large is this vehicle here is still equipped with winter tires. Optional, you can even get 21-inch wheels, and again with summer tires it looks even bigger then. Then also great contrast here for the side mirrors, and also in the lower area right here with the papaya color here today. It's a very interesting orange-like color. It has a very unique combination. However, if you pick a bright color like a white, for example, these contrasts will of course appear even stronger maybe than the typical Porsche styling here towards the hip area. Suspension wise, this one here comes with a sportier suspension, the PASM, Porsche Active Suspension Management, minus 50 millimeters, but you can also optionally on that get the air suspension, which is then even 10 millimeters lower. So on the one hand, maybe more comfort with the air suspension, on the other hand, with the even sportier setup. These two choices you have. Top speed, by the way, 230 kilometers an hour or 140 miles an hour. So even though it's 4-cylinder, goes really fast. Have you seen here the white brake calipers? They not only add a very interesting contrast, especially here to the gray alloys, they also indicate a special brake, because these here are the optional PSCB, Porsche Surface Coated Brakes. Tungsten carbide surface that reduces brake dust. So it's even basically environmentally better, and also better braking performance. Unlike the PCCB, that's the Porsche ceramic composite brake, the even more expensive ceramic brakes also available for the Macan. And huge price difference, ceramic brakes towards 10,000 euros or dollars, these here around 3,000, 3,500. In the rear, the facelift recently introduced this new light signature, and still goes all the way through. Really impressive, super clean look as well, Macan T logo. And the T also adds these gray elements here as a contrast in the top part, for example. And the lower part also gets a new look here with this, it's kind of like a 3-dimensional stamped in. And although it's only the 4-cylinder, well, it's like one pipe per cylinder, and these are the real thing. Always spectacular how the hood opens and how the lamps are cut out here. Really cool. And here we go. This is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, 265 horsepower, 6.2 seconds in the acceleration figure. Unlike the
2.9 liter 6-cylinder then for the Macan S and GTS. But the strange thing is here, okay, why didn't they boost the power a little bit for the Macan T version? Because it's the same power figure than the normal Macan 4-cylinder. I would have expected some 300 horsepower here, like in a, you know, like in a Leon or in a just VW Golf R or something. They could have boosted the horsepower. I think it would have been a clever choice to differentiate the T model a little bit more. However, one advantage here for the 4-cylinder towards the 6-cylinder, this one here, 60 kilograms less of weight on the front axle. That could have a good effect on the driving agility. And some other color choices for you. This one here is Gentian Blue, Enzian Blau in German. Yeah, pretty nice Thomas Blue color, isn't it? Or what about the pure white vehicle here, where once again you see these gray contrasts a little bit stronger. This one, by the way, here, the standard white without any extra price. This is the car key with a typical Porsche form, nicely done, really light. You can get keyless entry. This car, however, does not have it. Then, door closing sound is actually quite good, not excellent, not bad at all. Then here, inside of the doors is rather hard on top. It's not entirely hard, but almost hard. Here's a little bit softer for your elbow, but also this is quite stiff, so it should be a little bit plusher, I think, actually. Then we also have the Bose sound system here. This is a nice option for music lovers. Then the Macan T has these special entry badges, kind of like, you know, dark brushed style with the T. Maybe Macan T, Macan Thomas, I don't know. Then you can also get the Racetex steering wheel. You know, the microfiber is called Racetex now since a while for Porsche. It's of course the way to go. I just love it. Great grip both in summer and winter time. That's really lovely. And still can be combined with that heated steering wheel function that is here behind, you know, hidden behind here. And then the seats, sport seats with more shoulder support, and in the Macan T with fabric inserts, also here with these contrast stripes. Looks really cool. However, the outside, this is still animal skin, kind of unnecessary that they did that. But let's check out the comfort. Oh, it's nice vintage car sound. Oh, look at that beamer there. Look at that. You see it? Do you see it? Wow, that's cool. Wow. I think there's a feature of that on Autogefühl about, you know, this is the car that Elvis owned, actually. Have you seen that? Wow. That's awesome. So I will link the video to the Elvis car special. And now back to our Macan T. So the seating position here, since you have more shoulder support, it has good comfort indeed, because it takes off weight from your lumbar area. So and also the fabric insert here is really superior to the full animal skin setup, because this one here stays breathable in summertime and it's also not cold in winter. So in this case then really good. The key is still put here in the left part, classic, and then you also really turn it around for the ignition and so on. Steering wheel here with the manual control, up and down, in and out, and we also have these classic Porsche gauges where the RPM meter is analog and the central of the whole thing. Only on the right side you have a screen then. You can, for example, also have a map display in there. And I think that's actually a good mix of digital and analog. Interior overview always with this wrapped tight look. Horizontal stress, new infotainment system soon deals to that. Then also big shifting lever here with microfiber. Also newly designed middle console, and that Racetex steering wheel, really cool. Left side for the volume control, right side for the instrument control, and always to have the drive mode selector on the steering wheel. That's a good thing to have, so easily changing the driving modes then while driving. And the sports chrono clock. Well, and if you really closely monitor the time in different shots, that will maybe discover that we don't always shoot everything in the chronological order. Maybe someone took a look at it. Infotainment system, 10.9 inch for the Macan facelift now. The car internal GPS looks like this. Not that responsive, of course. It is usable. We're here near the Nice area today. Beautiful in the southern France area. So the thing is, you can use this infotainment system, but most of the time probably will also use Apple CarPlay. Not Android Auto, because Apple CarPlay is the only thing that works here. You see here the integration that is actually quite slim, it's not full screen. Android Auto, by the way, available for Taycan, Panamera and Cayenne in the
most recent iterations then. And the sound system here, the Bose sound system, is actually, yeah, quite cool. So nice sound, to be recommended. Besides touch, by the way, you can also use a knob to navigate in the CarPlay, and this is here on the right side. So this would be like a like an MMI controller here. And when you are in the car internal map, then this is actually for the zoom. It's actually quite cool. I like still to have these real physical buttons here on the left side then for the volume. Some decluttering for the facelift here, but we still have this metal knurled control center for the climate. This is actually quite decent. But then here, these capacitive buttons here, also for example for suspension, you can see here, my fingers are not especially greasy, but this is a surface where you can like see fingerprints all over the place indeed. Cup holders, adaptive, that's good. And then here, that's how you attach an armrest. This is really, you cannot shake it at all. Good perceived quality. Then here, USB-C chargers, 1 and 2. And inductive charging would be putting your smartphone here and then face the screen to the outside, not the most practical solution. Rear seating area, you also have the sporty fabric inserts with the stripes. That's actually quite cool. You do see you have a large middle tunnel. Now with the facelift, also 2 USB-C chargers. And then let's take a look. What about the legroom? Well, I have the seat as I would be driving, and that gets very close. It does fit for 4 tall adults, but it gets really close. So legroom is not the specialty of the Macan. We also have this vehicle here equipped with the very nice race text ceiling here. That's actually cool. And some headroom left. There's also an optional panoramic roof available. Seating comfort in the rear is actually quite decent. So it's actually good. I mean, the bolstering is stiff, but still, you know, it's very comfortable indeed. As for adjustment of the seat, there's nothing to be done here besides then, you know, folding it here. There are also no different angles or something available. Here in the middle part, you can fold that one down for adaptive cup holders. Once again, nice build quality. You can also use this one here as a ski edge. And then, well, in that middle console here, well, sitting on the middle part is kind of tough. That will get close with with the legs and so on, but it is theoretically possible also for 5 tall adults. But then again, yeah, big middle tunnel and so on. Always a highlight to open the Macan trunk here from the outside with this button right there. It's just a nice idea, I think. And then the length of that trunk is a little bit less than 1 meter or 40 inches. The width is exactly 1 meter or 40 inches, and the height to the cover is about 50 centimeters or almost 20 inches. You see here the backpack also fits in easily, and you can fold the seats 1/3, 2/3 split, or with that ski hatch, and the total length then is 1.70 meters plus or 67 inches plus. Welcome to Thomas's active driving lounge, and we put here to the Sports Plus mode and going up the Col de Torini. So this is the most favorite or most famous stage of the Rally Monte Carlo. Tour de France was also here, so a little bit slower of course, but here we use it today for the Macan T. See if that 4-cylinder even got it, although it's just 4 cylinders, but we have less weight on the front axle, and they also changed the suspension setup here, stiffer suspension. In this case we have the air suspension, which is even a little bit lower, even more in the sports mode, so it goes even lower then. And also the all-wheel drive distribution, it already has a rear wheel bias, but here in the Macan T it is even more rear wheel bias. I can also see it here in the distribution that I have always more power on the rear wheels, and that definitely helps us to get out of the corners. And here, going uphill, of course, that's a special thing to check then with the corners. Great steering, super direct, a little bit screaming of the tires here. Wow, that feels so nicely. Such a great handling of that SUV. I don't even feel we're like boosted up in any way or something. Really feels like a low-sitting sports car. Race tech steering wheel with the microfiber surface here. That is awesome. Wow, this has such a balanced handling. So from the pure handling and the weight distribution, front, rear, and wow, I mean, it is air suspension here in this case, so you do have comfort also over some bumps. At the same time, it's actually, yeah, I mean, it's sporty and comfortable at the same time. So this is also a good thing then here with that optional air suspension. The PASM will also do fine, of course, but here you have more possibilities to make it more comfortable in the comfort mode and sportier than in the sports mode. And wow, this is so much fun. This goes up the hill so smooth, really nice. Of course, here you hear the engine is working. We only have the 4-cylinder power. Again, it's good for the handling and for the weight, but when I want to be really on the gas, sometimes I think, yeah, maybe the power from the 6-cylinder could do a little bit better to be a little bit more spontaneous. Yeah, but I mean, it is good performance, no doubt about that. Sound, of course, is something we are missing. So you might have think, maybe they could have done some sound emulation or something. That would have been something. Sport Plus mode, by the way, also the stability control is being drawn back, so I can play a little bit more around with that vehicle. Wow, I'm having so much fun going up here, these windy corners. Wow, what a landscape here now. We're getting higher and higher. The peak will be soon at 1,600 meters. That's about 5,200 feet. So quite a bit of elevation here. Air gets thinner. That also has a toll on the engine performance, of course, you know that. So the thinner the air, the higher it goes up. It's always a thing, you know, like in racing, of course, when you're racing in high altitude. And yeah, I mean, a lot of legends have gone up this hill. Walter Röhrl, of course, Colin McRae, Sebastian Loeb, Sebastian Ogier, and so on. And I mean, it's crazy. I already feel that we would be going really fast here, but they are actually going up this hill like, you know, double or triple the speed at least. And that's absolutely crazy how narrow that is here. Yeah, come on. That performance then here from that engine. Wow. And still, I mean, suspension is so well thought out. I don't feel it's a bad choice to make it a little bit stiffer here in this case. Sometimes the stiff sport suspensions are just annoying because they're too stiff. Here in the sports mode especially, of course, it is stiffer than even in a normal mode, but you can still do so much things with that vehicle. A little bit of the tire scream. Now nicely done. More rear drive than from the front, and that really pushes me out of the corners. That is so cool. Lovely, just absolutely lovely. Little bit of sliding around in the rear, so that is even possible with that 4-cylinder. So from the driving agility, you do not miss these 2 cylinders at all. It's such an awesome vehicle. So if you want to save some money, stick with the 4-cylinder. Maybe taxation in your country is bad for the 6 cylinders or something. The Macan T is an excellent opportunity to spice up your 4-cylinder life here for the Macan. That's, I think, a great sweet spot. Here in these situations, you know, when we were like braked in, you know, by some really narrow corners, then that 6-cylinder performance could help me a little bit more to get it up to the RPMs. That definitely. And of course, the sound is better with the 6 cylinders. So these are the two things you have to bear in mind. But other than that, I mean, this is easily the best sporty SUV in this segment. And I would say really by far. I mean, currently at home I have a BMW X3 M40i, which is an awesome vehicle, no doubt. And of course also with that 6-cylinder. But from the pure driving agility, how we can put this around in the corners. Seats are holding us tight as well, good shoulder support, and of course more breathable with these fabric inserts here. And the combination, you know, like seating, steering wheel here, the size and the directness, how smooth it feels. And I have such a great connection, driver, vehicle and road. Yeah, I mean, this is really as good as it gets for an SUV. If you might compare it to the Cayenne, for example, to the bigger brother, this one here, of course, sportier just because of the weight, of the size and so on. So the Macan is definitely more fun to steer around, especially here in these narrow corners. And this is here also pure Autogefühl. Look at that here now, S corners, lovely. And you might see the pictures on TV, and it's always something completely different when you're in that yourself. This is so awesome. Woo! What else we can do? We can here go to the EC Sport.
PSM Sport, or yeah, in that case PSM Sport. There's, by the way, when I press and hold it, let's see, we can also completely turn it off. It's not recommended for public roads, so I also want to be responsible here. PSM Sport is kind of enough, and that actually draws back the stability control even more. And you should only use it when you really know the vehicle very well and you know what you're doing actually. So then of course you have to be even more careful. But in this case then, the effect that I'm being like drawn back by the brakes or something in the corners is a little bit reduced. However, here on dry road conditions doesn't make the biggest difference than here, since this car is very balanced anyway, and also that Sport Plus mode already takes back the stability control, all these electronic helpers. Wow, I'm really impressed. So when they said they want to make a 4-cylinder Macan unique, they definitely made that, with that little exceptions here. But well, fun-wise, driving-wise, I mean, just for the pure driving agility, and the weight distribution, is that even better with the 6-cylinder than the 6-cylinder? That might even be the case. So I mean, 60 kilograms might not be like 120 pounds on the front axle less. That doesn't sound too much actually, but when you're in the more extreme conditions here, more on these winding corners, that can actually be some kind of a difference. And once again, I'm having so much fun here, and I can't remember, that I ever had so much fun in an SUV in so tight corners. SUVs can be sport, we know that. There are special sports versions by almost all manufacturers, by the way. And we have driven them on racetracks and also on sporty roads, but this is here, it's really, really narrow. I'm not sure if it's really transported on camera. You can also see like some of the stuff there in the infotainment system. But that an SUV is fun in so tight corners, it has to be really good from the setup. Yeah, of course, and here now EC Sport doesn't make a big difference, because I have to be careful, that I'm not too hard on the throttle. And the difference with the EC Sport would be rather than really when you push the throttle even further. Wow. That guy, respect, man. I mean, it's already tough to go up here by car. Yeah, that's a safe spot. Yeah, and even that, still got some power reserves from that 4-cylinder. Really nice. Wow, one more time, heads off guys. And we're getting higher and higher and higher, and does the engine feel, somehow weaker now? Maybe a little. Wow. What do you say, Michelle, as co-driver today? Co-driver is very important in rally racing, so you haven't given me any directions though. Like usually like 2 left lane and 1 right, and don't cut. Well, 3 left, 3 right.
I guess this makes you the biggest legend who's ever driven on this track before, so congratulations.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, who was it? Was it also Colin McRae, who at one time said like, to be honest, I never listened to my co-driver ever. All the co-drivers in the scene were freaking out, like, how can he say that? No, of course, the co-drivers are really important.
Even similar to you, though.
Yeah, maybe Colin McRae and I are maybe like, I don't know, brothers at heart, I don't know. And yeah, totally sad story what happened to him, and yeah, God bless him, and we really wish he would be still racing out there. By the way, if you drive this car slowly, cruise control motorway, you can score some 9 liters on 100 kilometers, like 26 mpg US, 31 mpg UK. Sorry, I have to concentrate on driving as well, not only on a few economy figures. And here, when we're driving up the hill here, then rather some 14, 15 liters on 100 kilometers. Of course, and way less than 20 mpg, both US and UK. So, and this is now, some part where we drive kind of like through the forest, also some different scenery, a little bit faster, and the final stages will then be once again a little bit tighter. So here also really cool how the air suspension helps us, like also when there's some rollers or something, that is awesome. And
that steering, it really feels like it would be transported over from the 780 models, you know, and that's why, just driving-wise, my favorite Porsche models are really the Macan and the 718 Boxster, because they drive so well balanced, and the other ones just feel bigger. The Cayenne will do some better long-term comfort and so on, but if you really want some more purist driving fun, yeah, and that's also where the T models, T stands for touring, by the way, not for Thomas. So there where the Porsche T models are really, you know, positioned for that touring aspect. So just like here, you know, you are on a nice tour, but you also want to drive it in a very sporty way and rather reduce it to the max, be a little bit more purist. And the Boxster T or the Cayman T is, to me, the more essential part of Porsche, not going always for the highest horsepower figure and for the biggest spec and so on. The PCCB, the ceramic brakes, are not available anymore for the Macan, by the way. Just mentioned the price difference earlier, just for, you know, curiosity. And now the corners get tighter once again, and we are so lucky that we have no one in front of us and not so many cyclists here today, because that can happen. So really a unique chance to drive up this road in such nice weather with such a clear track. And it's so great that you actually joined us for that and enjoy this one here on tape as much as we do. Look also how the steering ratio really fits to that road. So when I'm in a 90-degree turn, I also turn the steering 90 degrees. That's really awesome. I love that. Really nice, progressive, smooth. Everything is in one flow, and that is something, you know, I usually only, you know, maybe achieve in mountain biking or something, or downhill mountain biking, what I also do. You have, you know, what I really feel at this moment is this so-called flow. And when you have like a favorite hobby or something, you might know what I'm talking about. You are in the moment, you're not thinking of anything else. All the problems you might have in this world are just gone, and you are in this flow. You are just in the moment. You're steering the vehicle, you're handling throttle, steering, well, clutch and shifting is done by the vehicle. However, I can also do it myself. Here with the shifting pedals, that might also be some fun idea. And I maybe can keep it, for example, a gear lower. The sports mode is already keeping the gears lower, definitely, but here with the shifting myself, I can do that as well, and keeping the RPMs even a little bit higher. That brings me more agility. And here, when we have a little bit more open road, then also the ESC Sport mode has a bigger effect. The surface here is a little bit tougher now. You might also hear some, you know, rattling from the interior now because of our camera equipment, because so much rattling forces are then applied. Here now also the road gets a little bit, you know, slippery because of the, you know, some very small loose stones on there. To be careful for that. Always be ready. Wow. And we're getting closer and closer towards the peak. Second gear, third, maybe even fourth. Going back. Yeah, it's also so much fun to use the shifting pedals. It's small, but really precise, give you a nice feedback. Oh my God. I mean, on camera, things look always slower than they really are, because you do not feel the G-forces, and the camera angles are also sometimes deceiving. But I'm telling you, we were really, really fast here so far. Now it opens up. This has been, yeah, probably one of the coolest things here we've ever done in a sporty SUV. What a journey, what an experience.
It's so good to see you. Welcome to another episode here today with the Audi Q5 Sportback, that cut-off version of the Q5. Also profiting from the recent Q5 facelift. So no matter if you're interested in the normal Q5 or here in the new Q5 Sportback, will be very useful for you. Information on exterior, interior and that driving experience. With this vehicle, Audi finally wants to attack the BMW X4 or the Mercedes GLC Coupe. Will it work? We'll find out together in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go!
Here in the front, the updated Q5 and the new Q5 Sportback. They look pretty much the same in the front. Huge single frame grille. High gloss black in this case. This is the S-Line exterior package, so sporty styling also here with this graphic. Quantum grey is the color for today with our main vehicle, but we also have some shots of the glacier white for you, or the very interesting ultra blue. Comes close to our Thomas blue, we call our channel here, because that's my favorite color. And a very spectacular dragon orange. Very interesting. But this one here, the quantum grey, also very interesting, and the daytime running light here with the interesting modern structure. Then the normal headlamp unit, LED, is standard. Optional, you can also get the matrix LED. You can also see it right here for elaborated high beam function. The length is at 4.69 meters, 15'4" or 185 inches. Wheels start a little bit bigger than with the normal Q5. With the normal Q5, 17-inch would be the entry wheel size. Here directly with 18-inch. These are the optional 19-inch wheels. Maximum would be 21-inch. Again, S-Line exterior styling, so a little bit sportier. You can also get, for example, a black pack. You can see here in the exterior mirror caps are in black. Then you can later also get black Audi rings in an extended black pack, for example. The wheel arches, you can get them, for example, in vehicle color, but here they're contrasted, but here painted contrast. So not a plain black, but a painted black then. So nice and sporty, very elegant style at the same time. And of course, a special thing here with the Sportback version is this folding roofline and this coupe cut-off style. And there's always discussion, can something like this be called coupe? Well, if you take just a French word from it, it means cut, and then you can actually do that. It's just depending on how close you draw this definition. The question is really, do you like it more than the Q5 SUV? Is this your favorite? Or would you say, nah, rather not? Also interesting to have this 3/4 rear perspective, definitely. And talking about the suspensions, usually with the normal Q5 you get a base suspension. With the Q5 Sportback you automatically get the fixed sport suspension as standard, but then you can de-pick it and go for the standard suspension. And I would also advise you to go for that. Or if you want to spend some more money, Europe prices about 1,000 euros extra, the adaptive suspension, or for 2,000 euros extra, the adaptive air suspension, which we also have in this very vehicle here today. This will then deliver the most comfort. And for the rear here, this is special new with the Q5 Sportback. You can also get organic LED, so OLED. This is another option then. It looks really flat here from this rear graphic, and you can get them in 3 different stylings. You really order them literally when you get your vehicle and you have this OLED option, 3 different signatures. And they also have additional functionality when a vehicle is approaching, for example. So I am simulating a vehicle now. So you can see when I'm standing in front of the car that would be approaching vehicle, this graphic is changing. You see here? There it is. So very interesting thing, and this is another vision, for example. We heard that from different manufacturers that cars are being able to communicate a little bit with the outside world with light signatures. This could be one step in that direction. And I know you always love to see the turning indicators, here also in a cascading style. And here the front turning indicators, or also when you activate the hazard lights, always a spectacular feature here in this high trim. As for engines, you get 2-liter 4-cylinders or 3-liter 6-cylinders, both for petrol and diesel. And for the petrol side, also plug-in hybrid versions. Today we have the 2-liter TFSI, 265 horsepower, 6.1 seconds is the acceleration figure, so a strong 4-cylinder engine, 2-liter of displacement. And the smaller engines have the Quattro Ultra all-wheel drive, so that means front plus rear on demand, and the rear can be actually decoupled for fuel savings. And the bigger engines, the 3-liter engines, they have the classic quattro with 40% front, 60% rear, standard distribution and a center differential. So the SQ5 versions for the US, for example, or for Russia will be the 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol engine. The SQ5 for Europe will still be the SQ5 diesel then, with fake exhaust tips, and you can see it right there. There it is. That's the one in Dragon Orange, the SQ5 diesel. As I said, fake exhaust tips, and yeah, just the diesel for the sports version. Probably if I would go for an SQ5, I would still try to get the petrol one, but again, in Europe, not possible anymore. Main engine will, however, be rather this one here, the 2-liter TFSI. And what's also interesting, next to the plug-in hybrid versions, all the other engines, except the 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol engine, all others come now with mild hybrid technology. That means some recuperation is possible, and that energy is then used for this sailing or coasting function that you can roll with the vehicle. And the electric consumers also use that recuperated energy then. So for some fuel savings, Audi promised about like half a liter on 1 kilometers. Not sure if that is really realistic. However, the small engines, 12-volt board net, and the big 3-liter engines, 48-volt board net, then with a little bit more recuperation possibility. This is the car key here, slim and light, one of my favorite car keys. It also looks quite fancy. It's not the newest one, but still one of my favorite ones, somehow. Door closing sound. Very solid, like that. And then inside of the doors, right here with a matte wood insert. And then this material here in the top, it's somewhat hard, somewhat soft. It's in between, so it's not entirely hard, but not entirely soft. But you can see it's from that whole material then all the way through. So yeah, it's a step forward to the initial Q5 version, where this was definitely harder. Meanwhile, I think it's okay. Then here's an S-Line entry badge. You can see it right there. And we don't have the S-Line steering wheel, however, here. It's normal steering wheel. There's also a sporty one with a flat button available. But overall, interesting, nice buttons right here to control the digital instruments. Right side then for the volume. Here we can also see the 12.3-inch digital instruments. Base, however, would be analog instruments with a 5-inch screen. This then is an option. And seating-wise, these are the sport seats. You can get normal seats and sport seats. Sport seats are here. They have more shoulder form right here. The normal seat would rather go straight. And then in Europe, we have fabric surfaces, both for normal and sport seats. Of course, the best for summer and winter time then, climate-wise. Not available in the US, however. And then another choice would be is a mix of animal skin and leatherette. But the main part then would be animal skin, sadly. And then there are also microfiber combinations, for example, with microfiber on the inside. We also have some shots for you for that. And on the outside then some leatherette and also animal skin mix. However, animal-free, only the pure fabric seats so far. So Audi needs to deliver some more alternatives there, especially also for the US market. Then getting inside, it's actually a nice seating position right here. You can put that front part a little bit longer. In this case here, a manual seat with an electric lumbar support. The sport seats give you a little bit more support here, but it doesn't mean that they're more comfortable. So the other ones are a little bit more open. Also depends on your personal preference. Then still a lot of headroom left. 1.86 or 6'1" is my height, no problem. You can also go for a panoramic roof as an option. Then the steering wheel can be put up and down, in and out, easy and smooth process. And the overall impression of the build quality, once again, very good here with Audi. And, you know, it doesn't change anything that this car here is built in Mexico. Interior overview, I think it's a straightforward design. First of all, this dashboard material is Also again, like the inside of the doors, not entirely soft, not entirely hard, something in between. Then a nice wood insert here. Different stylings available. And then this new 10.1-inch screen, also for the Q5 SUV facelift. This replaced the solution with the MMI knob in the middle console, because this is all via touch now, and always this size. Finally, just one size for the screen. That makes it definitely easier, but the GPS is still optional, and over 2,000 euros extra for that, for the GPS functionality. I think that's a little bit tough on the customer, isn't it? And also the smartphone interface, about 800 euros for the Apple CarPlay and the Android Auto support. Come on, what extra price policy is that? So, and then you can really enjoy that extra price with the Apple CarPlay definitely here. The integration is actually quite well done. There we go, and let's listen to that sound system here. Yeah, that's nice. Different sound systems available. This is even not the most premium one we have here, and this already sounds quite nice. So, there we have it. You've seen this, when we have the maps in the CarPlay mode, we have seen the GPS right here, and this menu structure there, the main menu structure, is actually quite good in the overview. You can also have this one here, and then individualize also what you want to have on the left side. And here in this car menu, for example, you can also go to the drive select, and when you have the air suspension, the car also goes down at higher speeds, or you can lift it up, for example, also in the all-road or in the off-road mode, so a little bit more flexible as for this. And on the left side, as I said, 5-inch in the middle part would be standard, and analog on the outside. These are the optional 12.3-inch digital instruments, and you can have different views. For example, you have this classic view, only the RPM meter changes a little bit in this sport view. Then you have red RPM area. Or you can also have this new dynamic view. This looks more textile, but I think, not really good, right? This sport view is the coolest, I think, with these round gauges. And then you can always use the view button at the steering wheel to have this kind of view, or like this. And you can also, that's the biggest advantage of the digital instruments, have the map in the middle part and then go like this, so the map all over the place. This is the biggest advantage. Two more options for this vehicle. A head-up display option, and also this climate unit is an option. The normal climate unit would be just with manual controls, which is also totally okay, and this one here is actually my favorite climate unit in all the automotive industry. Still good that we have it right here. The all new Audis with the all new platforms and so on are touched also then with the climate unit here. With such a nice clicking sound here for this metal knurled climate unit, and also here the seat heating. This is actually very straightforward, and here then also with this capacitive function somewhat for these options, but also still menu control, so easy and straightforward and very stylish and elegant. Sadly, these solutions will most probably disappear at some point. But other manufacturers like Honda, for example, also went back to manual climate controls because customers just demanded. Drive select in the lower area, also with this, hard button here, not only possible with the touchscreen. And then the lower part, you can either use a cable connection for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but they planned this platform here, as the smartphones weren't that big. You can see it here, so that the CarPlay and the Android Auto also works wireless. In this case, it's a good solution, because then you can put that one out right here and put your smartphone somewhere else. Not necessarily here. Also not where the key is. Still manual volume knob right here. Then the shifting lever here, depending on if you have the dual clutch transmission or the converter automatic gearbox in the bigger engines. And then this would be, for example, the inductive charging pad right here. So this could be a good place to put your phone. There's schmoozy. And then you can put this one here up. This armrest very well attached. And underneath, we can then slide this inductive charging pad for cup holders. This is possible. And another USB-C charger. Ambient lighting is also available here at the moment in blue. Of course, you can better see it when it's all dark, but also different colors can be chosen. As for the rear, what compromise is there? First of all, you also have that same material here in the back part. Again, somewhat hard, not entirely hard. Then here, nice bright microfiber insert, and once again the matte wood. And you can see there's not much legroom left. So then let's get inside here in the rear. And as you can see, not too much legroom left. It evenly fits with my, with my size and my height, and when I'm driving right here in the front. So the sport seat's also a little bit more voluminous. Headroom, however, there's actually no problem, so there's hardly a compromise there. So the falling roofline doesn't have a great negative effect on that. You sit quite comfortably here. It's just that the legroom is quite close, so if you want more legroom, you would need to go a class higher. You can also put that seat here more forward, but that would not be recommended, or backward, then depending on the trunk space. And here you can adjust the back part of the seat or also fold it completely. That would be possible from here. Isofix at the outsides each. In the middle part you can also sit. There's a middle tunnel, however, and yeah, it's actually quite possible. No problem. Then you have two USB-A chargers here in the middle part and an additional climate unit with nice clicking sound here in the rear too. Yeah, I love that with the, let's say, this generation of Audi vehicles. So newer ones often have less buttons, of course. And then here, middle armrest, adaptive cup holders, nicely done. And you can also move that whole stuff as a ski hatch then to reach through right here. And now to the trunk area. Special always with all Q5, both SUV and Sportback. Here, the whole light lifts up, and then you have this open space area here that is kind of quite a distinctive look. And then here, this cover with rails, nice left and right. And then when you have the air suspension, you can also lower the vehicle for a lower loading height. 510 liters, that means you lose about 40 liters in comparison to the SUV version. So here, cut off a little bit here, but you can still see you can use it very well. The only thing that would not be possible is put the backpack here, but that's the only thing, So you're actually still quite well off. Then you can also fold the seats and reach a maximum capacity of a little bit less than 1,500 liters. So with the SUV it would be more than 1,500 liters. You need to push them down here like this. And there we go, and this is then the maximum setup. So still very well usable. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the new Audi Q5 Sportback. We're in Ingolstadt here today, Audi's heartland, so to speak, at the Audi Piazza. We've been there a couple of times to do some shootings. So the Q5 and the Q5 Sportback, they are of course pretty much the same as for driving. I can already tell you so far. If you would tell me now I'm in a Q5 SUV, I couldn't deny it really. So that it's cut off there in the back, we don't really feel that. Rather, it's about the suspension choice, and we do have the adaptive air suspension here today. As I said earlier, would not go for the fixed sport suspension, which is standard for the Q5 Sportback. De-pick it and go for the base suspension if you want the most cost-effective option, or non-option. And if you go for the adaptive suspension, 1,000 euros extra, I think that's a clever choice, because that extra is still, quite okay for the price, and you get some additional comfort. Here, the adaptive air suspension is, of course, even more expensive than as the option, but still, as I said, the adaptive suspension choices both are not that expensive if you compare it to other expensive options. So I think you can still live with that. Here the air suspension is, however, not that soft that you would feel like a Mercedes air suspension, where you really feel like it would be like this flying carpet ride. The air suspension that Audi is using is here, still, sporty, I would say. Well, it's a Camo vehicle, I think one of the electric ones, the new ones. So here when you go in slalom, it doesn't shake up too much. Thing is, overall good compromise. Also very silent, so a good noise insulation here, good overview to the rear, to the sides as well. We also have the blind spot monitor included here in the side mirror. At some point you can probably also see that in action. Good feeling in general also of the brakes and also of the steering. It's very precise and direct, no dead zone area for that. So already in a non-sporty version, it feels actually quite sporty. So if you also compare it to the competitors, the ride is quite sporty, I have to say. Stiff is rather this seating surface here with the animal skin. So if you have one of the fabric seats or the microfiber seats, which I would recommend also for the seating comfort, because especially the back area here, you know, this area here behind your back, this is really very stiff than here in the animal skin option. You have it right there. When you want to accelerate a little bit faster, you can always go to the S shifting mode, by the way, then turns up the gears a little bit higher. But in general, this 2-liter TFSI is rather silent. You hardly hear that engine working. It's really, really smooth to control that. Clicking sound from the indicators also feels pretty sophisticated. And the car feels a little bit smaller than it actually is due to the precise steering, good noise insulation, and this engine is also very, very responsive. So if you go for the non-SQ models, for the normal Q5, but still want the sportiest choice among the non-SQ version, then this engine here would be the sportiest choice, definitely. I mean, 6.1 seconds in the acceleration figure. That's actually pretty quick. And again, also responsive. Mild hybrid system is rather something than for the sailing or coasting function. It does not drive all electric, also not for short terms, so that's not how the mild hybrid system here works. The next generation of mild hybrid systems will be able to do that, actually. As for the driving modes, you can also go, for example, to the dynamic mode. In the dynamic mode, the air suspension goes a little bit down, also a little bit stiffer then, and then you have more responsiveness also from the throttle input and so on. So why not for sporty situations if you want to have a little bit more driving fun. And also the gears are shifted up later and shifted down earlier. Again here, when I'm at 70 kilometers an hour and accelerate to 100, plop that it's really responsive once again. And we hear a little bit more sound now, and once again very well in control. Now a little bit stiffer as for suspension. A very good and smooth ride, definitely pretty cool. We can also set the cruise control here. Adaptive cruise control is in there, and it's also with predictive functions, so it also counts with map data and so on, that it reduces the speed in front of a roundabout, for example. If you have the most elaborated assistance systems function, then also there's a capacitive steering wheel. If you also turn on the lane assist, which you can do it right here with your left index finger, and then there's also the capacitive function for the steering wheel, so the car realizes that you're still there just by touching the steering wheel, and you don't have to have a steering input there, for example. So here you can see the speed has been reduced with the adaptive cruise control. All the assistance systems work pretty much flawless here in this vehicle. Always nice to have the view of the map in the virtual cockpit. That's definitely always very helpful. Head-up display is an option for this vehicle. We do not have it in this very car here, but the virtual instruments also do just fine. However, head-up display is always an interesting option, that you can just have the speed in your line of sight. Also definitely a safety thing. So one thing there is to criticize, however, I can zero out this consumption meter, however, but we always scored quite high consumption figures here with this vehicle. And also here, just with the 2-liter TFSI, yes, it's a higher horsepower output. It's not the smallest SUV. But if you have normal consumption figures, it can be at some point also 2-digit liter figures here. We will watch it again for this test here today and then tell you the figure later on. Last time we've been driving the 2-liter TFSI in a normal Q5, we were rather at about 10 liters per 100 kilometers, and that's of course not really acceptable, and it also seems that we end about that one once again here today. Stuck here behind this truck. It's actually quite okay in this vehicle because it brings you also silence and just calmness in here. Once again, really satisfied with the noise insulation. That's one of the best things about this vehicle. And the overview, as you sit here in these seats, is also pretty cool. Again, to me, the biggest hindrance in this vehicle at the moment is the stiff seat material, which really reduces the comfort. The suspension itself is really awesome, and even in the sports mode, it's totally fine. However, if you are in the normal auto mode, then the suspension is even better as for the air suspension. You can also use a normal kickdown, for example, when you're not in dynamic mode. You can use the shifting pedals here, or you can pull the shifting lever to just backwards. Then you're in the S shifting mode. Then suspension and so on remains all the same in the normal soft mode. Just the shifting is set on a sportier mode. Or then use the shifting pedals right here, go into this manual shifting mode. Then you have a nicer boost because you're already in a lower gear and you can directly accelerate out. This can be definitely very helpful. Here in the auto driving mode, then the car is a little bit softer again from the suspension, but you can still have a lot of fun in the slalom. So if you compare it also to the competitors, the Audi Q5 always has a nice balance between sportiness and comfort. That's where Audi is positioning themselves. Maybe a little bit more in the sporty direction, where the normal Mercedes more goes into the comfortable direction. The BMW always goes in the sporty direction. And then the Mercedes AMG models are sportier than the other models, or that's also, let's say, stiffer. So Mercedes has the biggest variety span, so to say, from soft to really stiff and nothing in between. And Audi and BMW are somewhat in between. But it's also, again, always a matter of, preference, definitely. So we just been cruising here a little bit, also with some downhill. Then we can also score some 7 liters on 1 kilometers. But that would be like the absolute minimum figure. Now we're getting to the motorway and have another acceleration, and the consumption, of course, will rather go up. And I'll keep you updated with the final consumption at the later stage. Always interesting to drive the German motorway, definitely, because we have more better acceleration figure or situation, and we can also test it well about noise insulation at really high speeds. That's then a very good test. So we'll head on that right now. Here we are on the motorway. We go to the dynamic mode to get more boost from that. And then we can also accelerate on the motorway and also overtake this truck. A always, by the way, in Germany for trucks that carry garbage. So that's 150 kilometers an hour. We leave that X5 past. And wow, noise insulation superb. And again, the engine was also quite quick. Now at 160 kilometers an hour, really so silent and very stable here. What a good ride here, also at higher speeds. And you forget that you're driving an SUV. It could also just be a sporty sedan or something. And lane change here at higher speeds, super stable. Wow, that's really nice. Lane change back once again. Awesome. 160 kilometers an hour once again. Even going a little bit faster. So, wow. So definitely among the most silent mid-size SUVs. Proves one point again that the noise now at 180 kilometers an hour, the wind noise is starting to pick up, but that's like nothing. Really interesting, pretty cool. Lane change once again, good control of the steering input. What a flawless ride here on the motorway, and it's not a very low sitting car, also if you think about a normal sport suspension, for example, here in the Audi Q5 and the Audi Q5 Sportback, they do not put the car lower. So when you go for a sport suspension, it means the suspension setup is stiffer but not lower. Very interesting as well. Oh, there's an old police look still with the green look. Meanwhile, we have also the blue look for the police right here. And yeah, when you drive 160 kilometers an hour and you pass a police vehicle, you always feel like, am I doing something wrong? I mean, it will be more like for non-Germans driving in Germany, when you have some motorway paths where you have unlimited speed, you feel like, am I really doing something that is allowed here? Yeah, sometimes it's allowed, still in many other cases not. So what a good, almost motorway racing vehicle, I have to say. Good nose insulation, great power from the engine, and really, really always in control. So yeah, that's really, really nice. And yeah, consumption of course went all the way up then here again. Winter times also not good for the economy. Now we're at about 14 liters with this high speed and harsh acceleration and so on. But what we can do is zero it out again, go to the normal driving mode and see what kind of consumption can we score when we go just cruise control on the motorway. That's always a good hint of, what's actually possible. Here also a little bit going up and down. And we go into the middle lane or the right lane when we have the chance to. Sometimes it's just safer to stay in the left one and power it a little bit more through. And even if I pick up the speed once again, goes to the gear lower, once again we have better acceleration. So now we go into this middle lane, pull it to a nice 130 kilometers an hour, average speed here, zero it out and then see what the car will do right here. Once again, very relaxing then to put it to the cruise control. And I didn't really pay attention to it. Did we see the blind spot monitor? I think we just did, right? When the other car was passing us. So it's very well integrated in that side mirror. It's a very, very interesting solution. The B pillar is quite thick, so having the blind spot monitor is always a good and nice idea. Yeah, and indeed, consumption shows here, something 10 liters to 1 kilometers. We'll get down a little bit more when we drive downhill, but something 8 to 9 liters to 1 kilometers you always have to calculate with. So, something 30 mpg you can approximately calculate with. A little bit less in most cases. So these are our impressions here for today. Again, Q5 Sportback. It doesn't make a big difference in driving. It's a very convincing driving. Best is the noise insulation, great steering input, good power from the engine. But even though we have new mild hybrid system here, consumption is still quite high.
And now to our conclusion for today with the new Audi Q5 Sportback. Well, it took them quite a while to put a competitor up against the GLC Coupe and the BMW X4. Does it make sense? I mean, the others do it, so it's no wonder they also do it, just actually quite late. If it's something for you, it's really a matter of personal taste, because this cut-off style, some love it and appreciate it to drive a like sensual coupe style, but in a put-up style, and some others hate it. For me personally, I would usually go for the normal SUV styling just to have a little bit more versatility, and I also think it's just, to me, better in styling, but it's totally up to you what's better than for you. What you lose in, everyday usability is quite limited, so it's okay. A little bit of height then in the back of the trunk, but you can easily live with that. Also driving-wise, normal Q5 and the Q5 Sportback is quite equal. The good thing here about the Q5 in general is that you have a nice sporty ride already from the base version. At the same time, a good comfort, and especially if you go for this optional air suspension, which can do both. Actually, a nice, comfortable ride and sporty, just on demand on the button to make it a little bit stiffer then. I would not go for the fixed sport suspension, which comes standard here for the Q5 Sportback.
But as I said earlier, you can de-pick it just without any extra price, or then go for the adaptive suspension, or here for the adaptive air suspension. That would be our comfort tip for today. And in comparison to other extra options, the suspension options are not that expensive. I do criticize the expensive options for the smartphone interface and for the GPS. These are too expensive than actually as options. Interior, very good build quality, so satisfied with that. Now set all on the touchscreen then in the middle, so upgraded in the infotainment. Yeah, if you use the knob in the middle part that was there before, some do miss it now. But then again, the manual structure in the touchscreen is also quite easy and simple. Especially for non-European markets, more animal skin alternatives are missing. Here in Europe, we can easily get some nice fabric seats. Other markets cannot, so Audi needs to upgrade there. Other than that, overall, it's still among the best compact SUVs or mid-size SUVs, depending on which market you order this size in right there. So overall, very good vehicle, no doubt about that. Different structures we present to you today, what you can do with this vehicle, all of the options and so on. So huge option list, and that's always then with Audi. If you think about prices ranging from over 50,000 to 65,000, then even more with extra equipment, easily get 70,000 euros and so on. Very expensive, definitely. So I hope we could give you good advice of which options you can just leave aside and which you should really go for. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It's great that you've been with us in these still very strange and tough times. Stick with us. See you next time.
This channel is about the reviews that you request, and you ask us to review the all-new Lexus NX. Let's go. Well, the question, how good is this new generation now? Thomas here with Autogefühl. You can see big Lexus logo, this grille here, sporty styling, huge indeed, vertical style in this case then here, and the LED daytime running light really slim, and of course also full LED lamps today, a black styling. The length at 4.66 m or 183 inches, just slightly longer than the previous generation, and once again styling was striking in the front. Here very elegant in the side profile, dividing in light and shadow, and then here dissolving in this kind of triangle. It's a really interesting design and coupe-like shape here at the side. 20-inch wheels are today's choice, and the F-Sport version would be standard with 20-inch wheels. Also in the F-Sport you get an adaptive suspension. That might be a reason to go for the F-Sport indeed. But what do you think about the design here so far? Tell me in the comments. Very interesting rear styling here. Most of the manufacturers go now with one light strip going all the way across. Here it's also going way wide, but here you have this split between the element here and then the middle one. I think it looks really beautiful. So overall also a very clean design here. No fake exhaust. Is this a fake exhaust graphic? Maybe it was derived from that original, but I think that's fine, so no job for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police for today. But overall I think the styling really great actually.
This is the car key, slim and light actually, nothing special but nothing bad. Here these door handles, they are new and they do not move at all. There's like an area behind it which you can touch and then they open, but you see here they don't come towards you or something, and this is somewhat lacking haptical feedback, I think. So, and then door closing sound, it's really solid, and you can also see here the build quality, how everything is aligned very, very well. Inside of the doors is just slightly soft. My favorite element for today is here this matte open cell wood. Just listen to this. Ah, that's beautiful. And then here the all new interior. Let's begin with the steering wheel. Here you can see you do have real buttons on the steering wheel, for example for volume. And then you also have these that can be pressed, but they are touch at the same time. So you can press them, but you can also touch them. And you will soon see that this can be irritating at times. As for the seats, there are two different forms, either this one or the F-Sport seat, which would have more support here in this shoulder area. And I think I do recommend the F-Sport seats from my experience with Lexus so far, but they're both very good as for the ergonomics. And this seat here is available in animal skin leather or in Nulux or Tahara leatherette, animal friendly and also more sustainable. But how to differentiate? Well, here with the pattern. This pattern indicates it's animal skin, and the pattern that would go like in more vertical would be the animal-free one. But indeed, it took me a while to figure that one actually out. Here the NX, although we don't have it at this very vehicle, offers a vast amount of great Tahara or Nulux materials in black, white-black combination, red, brown, bright, so all colors you can imagine. You just have to see like which combination and in which market what is being offered. It's really complex, you know, like things like, hey, when you pick the plug-in hybrid, then in the US you can do this, in the UK this, and in Germany this. It's really confusing. I wonder why they don't make it like, you know, more uniform. Would be easier for me and also for you. So just check the configurator in detail. Seating position, ergonomics is really good. Steering wheel, up and down, in and out. And you also have this effect that when you here turn off the vehicle, then seat goes backwards, steering wheel goes in. Yeah, turn the lights off. Okay, no problem. Sorry about that. And here when you activate it again, then steering wheel comes towards you, seat goes forward. And yes, always these beeping sound, really, really annoying. But one thing is here, I'm not sure if you can already see it. This is the steering wheel all the way out, the whole column. And I wonder about that. Usually I would have the steering wheel like here and maybe it go a little bit further back with the seat to have a very comfortable position as 1m86 or 6'1" guy. And I also have enough headroom here left. But that steering wheel is just so close to the dashboard, even in the widest position. And here, just look at that. When I put it all the way in here now, this is like I'm almost steering at the instruments. So I really wonder why they have just didn't make the steering column a little bit further, you know, just a little bit longer. And this is also really interesting, how to open the door from the inside. You just press it like this, you know, and then it goes open. And the manual release would be then the classic way, you know. This is like the manual release for emergency situations when the car doesn't have power or something, you're maybe trapped inside or so. So that goes against intuition a little bit, but after a while you get used to it a little bit, and then just pressing it is also not too bad. Cockpit overview, really interesting. It stands out, this, you know, kind of like this attachment here. Either 10-inch screen or optional or in higher trims than the 14-inch screen. It's really like in-your-face screens, but there are also interesting elements that have been more or less kept. For example, you still have a AC dial here, this, you know, round dial. Have done the temperature in the middle. It reminds us a little bit of what Range Rover has been doing, but this is actually good then to be able to control that while driving in a quite easy way. When strength, however, then here in the infotainment system, this is here then the map, and you see it's actually quite responsive, so that's cool. So as for the infotainment software, also a big step forward here for Lexus. Look also here at the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto integration, wireless, by the way. This is once again, you know, really large indeed. And then you can also, you know, access some more climate functions here. Here, for example, the heated steering wheel. You can also set it to auto. To me, a little bit more complicated, definitely, than if you would just have like separate switches here. At least it's kind of big enough. And the sound system, you can also have here this, you know, manual volume control. This is not the Mark & Levinson sound system here, but already this one we have in here is actually quite decent. So yeah, really like the sound. So they have really good sound systems there, definitely. So here, one more look. Here, this is then while driving, for example. I will activate it while driving, where you can see the energy flow here of the plug-in hybrid drive system. And you would also have a web browser here when you have a Wi-Fi connection, for example. Here, you know, when you have normal Bluetooth connection, that would also be possible. And you can also have more car view, like you know, like a charging schedule. You can put in something. So again, big step forward infotainment system wise. But I do miss some of the classic Lexus features that we have more, you know, classic knobs and so on. Rear view camera has, yeah, an okay resolution, but the display is also very big, you have to say. And what else? Here it's not a live view, but then like kind of like from past image, it builds up a transparent car drone view, so to speak. But you've seen that it kind of builds up. It's not then like what you see in the middle is not live, but from the from the past actions, so to speak. Head-up display is always helpful, so a nice option.
But the strange thing is here, you have so many controls, and I'm doing that from the steering wheel. And the strange thing that the control on the steering wheel is controlling stuff in the head-up display somewhat. It also switches, then I can also adjust the height here. But then again here, when I'm doing like this right and left, at this moment, contents in the instruments change and not in the head-up display for real. And this is so confusing. So here now, when I press right and left, then I change the contents here. When I press up and down, I don't change contents in the instruments, but I adjust the height of the head-up display. So yeah, I really don't get it. But instruments are also clear to read. Here the speed is what you need. Left side would be then for the electric, for what's battery left, and right side then where I still have that fuel. Here by the way, eco mode, normal mode, sport mode. The sport mode has then this red appearance. And here once again I can press. That's actually okay. But then also when I just do like this, this also changes things. So you can accidentally activate something by just holding your finger here. And yeah, ooh, lovely. Not only this lens flare, but I mean here, this cubby hole here, slides down so smooth. I love these details. Here the back mirror has this special effect that when you turn like this, then it becomes a camera image that can be quite good when you, for example, load all the trunk like to the very top and you can't see anything anymore. No, I'm not saying you can't see. And then you can activate the camera image and can still see. And in the lower area you do have a drive mode controller for sport or eco driving. Normal, press it, it adjusts a little bit, the power input from the throttle. However, most of the time you're already busy with these different hybrid driving modes, so I would just leave it in normal and that's it. USB-C and USB-A chargers, and then there's here an inductive charging pad for your phone. The Apple CarPlay Android Auto connection works wirelessly. Shifting lever is still somewhat complicated because here for reverse you still have this kind of step effect, and here also for the drive mode. Why did they do it that way? And here you go actually through like 1 or 2 modes, 1, 2, 3 modes on this button, how they work and how they differ, explaining you while driving. Cup holders are adaptive right here, and yeah, this is the Lexus Hygiene car hand gel supplier they always put in with the test vehicles now. Yeah, I hope this time soon passes. Here this armrest goes either here or here, so in both ways, and then more space underneath. We have a beautiful brown ceiling here today, by the way. The material at the inside of the doors is not super plush, but at least they use the same one in the rear and in the front, so it's also somewhat soft touch, and also the nice matte wood here at the inside of the doors. Seating position in the rear, when tall drivers are here, you can see you fit in with at least 4 tall adults, and headroom wise also no problem for me. It's also fairly comfortable once again here. And Isofix at the outside part. Let's see, here we have cup holders and they are also adaptive. And then in the middle part, can we sit here? Yeah, it's actually also fairly comfortable and soft. And in this middle part here, it's not too high, and you have 2 USB-C chargers and also seat heating if you pick that option. Trunk area around 550 liters. Here the width is 1.40 meters. Here going further in, here at the very beginning it's a little bit wider, and the standard length normal truck is about 95 centimeters or 37 inches. Here in the front you do have space for the charging cable here in that plug-in hybrid version, so that's coming quite handy. You can see here luggage fits in easily. Also then here the cabin trolley in a vertical way. Let's put that out actually, and then we can see I already folded one of the half. This is like this wobbly cover. You can of course remove that. You can also reach over that slightly like this, and then can fold the seats from here. But yeah, probably easier to do it than from the rear area. And here the total length to the seat as I would be driving is about 1.80 meters or 70 inches. NX 450 H Plus. Well, we know H is for the hybrids, but H Plus? What about that? Engines, it's all about the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, naturally aspirated, no turbos, and then either as a pure combustion engine, as an inbuilt hybrid, or today here as the plug-in hybrid version. The hybrids get the H after the name. This one here, the H Plus, signalizing this as the PHEV drivetrain with an 18 kWh battery. Oh, and have you seen? It's being held up by gas struts. Nice. And if you have all-wheel drive model, like also here the plug-in hybrid, there's an additional electric motor at the rear. So in this case then, combustion engine front, plus an electric motor in the front, plus another electric motor in the rear. This is Thomas's driving lounge here with the Lexus NX, all new generation plug-in hybrid drivetrain, so the most powerful one. Will it also face the German Autobahn test? Yes, of course. From 45 kilometers an hour, let's go. $100. 150. Now wind noise picking up. 170. 180. Should actually go 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles per hour max, but you see here we take some time to reach that. Now the wind noise is actually quite loud. Of course, also that sound from the engine doesn't sound too good. That's really aspirated engine, and then also this eCVT they're using. 195 we are reaching max. Suspension shakes up notably, not feeling too safe. So in the F-Sport version where you have the adaptive suspension, that would be better actually. So I can recommend that if you're rather a fast driver. Here, I mean, it still feels okay, you know, but let's say it doesn't feel best in really fast driving. 120 kilometers an hour, 70 miles an hour is a very good motorway speed. Then also the noise insulation is fine actually. But if you compare to the previous generation, optimization from the chassis, so already the base versions feels a little bit sportier. Steering feeling here is very light actually, but not too indirect, so overall likable. But then again, well, I said in the interior part, I really would like a seating position here together with that steering wheel where it just comes more outward. I always feel like, you know, it's just too close to the dashboard here. That's a very strange feeling indeed. I also put you in here this special gauge where you can follow what's being done here at the moment here. Combustion engine is powering the front wheels and the front electric motor. And then there's also here either energy from the battery or it goes to the battery depending on how I have the throttle. If I leave the throttle, power goes back to the energy. Power goes back to the battery. Energy goes back to the battery. So it's always like back and forth, and when I re-hit throttle, then we also get power from that rear electric motor, which is additional when you have an all-wheel drive version. It's pretty distracting to look at it while driving. You can maybe do that if you see it here, like, you know, at the right side. But for me, it's really distracting. But it's interesting to see what the system is doing. And there are also so many driving modes. It gets a little bit complicated, I have to say. So either, and probably you will leave that all the time in, just the auto mode, and then the car decides on its own when to use the electric mode, when not to. You can then hit the button and go to the EV only mode when the battery is full enough actually. Then the button above that is actually, you can go into the HV mode. That then kinda enables a similar hybrid driving feeling, you know, from the inbuilt hybrid system at Toyota and Lexus. Then with this button you can also switch to the usual EV mode, the EV only mode, and when you hold it, this button, then you can go to the charging mode. Then the combustion engine is charging the battery actually. That is, here you hit, now it gets activated and it's charging the battery. This is not efficient at all, but it might be needed for situations where you have like a city with an emission zone. You're only allowed to drive there all electric. Then you charge, you know, on the countryside road or something, and then you're able to. So they always implement the system that you can theoretically do that, but it's not really efficient. That's the thing. And you know, like an average fuel consumption for a plug-in hybrid is always a very tricky thing to do. There is no reliable, you know, amount for that actually. So because it always depends on how much do you charge, you know. So it can be everything from 0 liters to 9 liters per 100 kilometers, anything basically, you know. That's a tricky thing also
than for me as a reviewer when driving plug-in hybrid vehicles, definitely. It's easier when you have the inbuilt hybrids and you can say, oh, there's good fuel economy here and there. Of course, here, when you do not charge this car externally, then you also can more or less drive like with the normal hybrid system, also here in this special driving mode, because you still have some recuperation moments and you can use this buffer then when starting up. Of course, this is more meant to be that you charge it from the outside and then have all electric driving to somewhat 50 kilometers, 30 miles, pure electric driving. And then when it's empty, then you go for a combustion engine, or when you go on a longer trip. Here, when you have this charging mode activated, you also hear that the engine is definitely louder overall. So not really a thing that is to be recommended, so to speak. So let's deactivate it. There we go. And here in EV mode, that sounds way better, right? So when I'm just rolling here, pure EV mode, really nice and silent. But always when you hit the throttle completely, then the combustion engine also is being activated. Or you can just put it into the auto mode and the car then once again decides for itself. As for cruise control and assistance systems, here let's put the adaptive cruise control to on, and then we can increase or decrease the speed right here. And now also the active lane keeping assist is activated. Let's check it out. Check it out, y'all. So in here, slight bend so far. Look at the steering wheel. Also, I'm not steering it at the moment, but very smooth how this bend is being kept, so there's no like a hectic reaction from the steering wheel or something. It's actually quite decent. Well, gladly we're alone in this Autobahn tunnel here at the moment. But if there would be someone coming from behind, there's also a blind spot monitor, by the way, which is a very helpful feature, definitely. Clear view to the digital instruments, definitely, and that huge screen, you can also see it here in the tunnel. Once again, we can go a little bit fast, accelerate here, see here the pin down, and then the engine is getting activated. And let's keep it here now at 150. Noise insulation here is still quite decent. So we've heard louder ones, we've heard more silent ones, definitely. Oh, and here is still, when I'm not in the cruise control mode, but just on the throttle myself, the active lane keeping assist stays activated. That's interesting. So that's not always the case. The question is if that's a good thing or not. But you can also deactivate it here with a button on the steering wheel if you rather want to steer than yourself. So that's good that we can deactivate it right here. And I already gave you a glimpse of information of that in the interior part. How to control the digital instruments and the head-up display, to me, that's really a nightmare. So, especially that these fields are kind of like touch sensitive. At the same time, you can press them, and it's mixing it completely. And when you do like just this, I've done it like 3 different things now, just by touching it here. And I'm not even sure what I did. And I've 10 years experience of a car reviewer and have reviewed like 2,000 vehicles or something at this point. And now imagine like a customer who has maybe driven like one single car for 15 years and then gets into this vehicle and is like, whoa, can you just drive, please? And that's more and more a huge problem with a lot of new vehicles we have. I'm not sure where this is going to. So I really appreciate when manufacturers keep it simple as well. New technologies, yes, especially for safety and what else? For driving, fun and whatever is great. We'll appreciate new technologies. We all love new technologies, but they're also there to make life easier, safer and better and not more complicated. That's my point, So I'm not the super old school guy, well, sometimes in some cases yet, but I'm not old school for being old school. Old school in a way of, hey, it's cool that I can still turn a climate knob here, because then I can adjust the temperature just, in a more easy way. But here, for example, like the classic thing is I can activate the cruise control here, but at the same time, the same button here, at some point, here when I press this button, and now the same button here puts the head-up display up and down, but right and left control something in the instruments. And you think like, how is my brain supposed to cope with that? I mean, even if I'm saying that, I still don't really understand what it's doing. So this is really a missed chance. I really love the recent Lexus vehicles we had, like the RX and the LS. No, they didn't have the LS yet, the RX and the ES. And they are so easy to control because you have then like this separate button for the heated steering wheel and so on. Here, I mean, it is more or less easily accessible, but still I have to put it here, the touchscreen for heated seat and also the heated steering wheel. Yeah, but especially like these features we were loving about the Lexus vehicles, and they were actually, I hit the brakes here now, won't cross the light on red. So we love these features about the Lexus vehicles, and they kind of set themselves apart, especially now like to new Mercedes vehicles and so on. Now they're gone here in the NX. So, and I still haven't figured a way out to reset the fuel economy, like to do that, like the reset, the reset average. And I've been searching for like an hour now or something. So yeah, this really speaks against the user interface of this vehicle, although it looks really fancy. And it drives quite well actually. Turning indicator, sound we have heard better actually. Here now, interesting, let's put it into the, yeah, okay, so it's always the thing like which mode is available depending on how low or full the battery is. But let's see, when I accelerate now here, you know, traffic light soon jumps to green, and accelerate here in the corner. Electric, combustion engine, out of the corner, smooth with that steering wheel, but sound-wise, of course, you don't have the best feedback, so to speak. Yeah, but this is the thing also why the plug-in hybrids or the hybrids can save fuel, because like in this first 1 or 2 seconds, you get the electric boost first, and you know this first drive is something that also consumes a lot of fuel, for example, and that's the thing then why this can still be somewhat fuel saving overall, definitely. The driving comfort actually, the seat ergonomics, really good, we know that from Lexus. In the ES I found that the F-Sport seats are even better, so we do not have the F-Sport seats here. So maybe I would even try to go for an F-Sport version to have the sportier ergonomics, which not necessarily need to be less comfortable, but even more comfortable. And of course, then pay attention that you can get the, either the Tahara or Nulux, depending on how it's named on your market. So the high-grade leatherette seats to be more animal-friendly and more sustainable. This is then also, of course, more fitting to the vehicle. And that material, we've seen that also in the ES F-Sport, that material is just awesome, really, really awesome. So if you ask me, the previous NX, I mean, here you get more fancy stuff, definitely. You have this, you know, new touchscreen thing, and you have everything bigger. It looks more modern. Noise insulation a little bit more improved. You know, chassis from a riding rigidity and so on. So here also that back mirror, that they can have the camera when like everything is packed fully in the trunk. Definitely the more modern impression. But we are seeing now the things that I especially can say about all new Mercedes vehicles, that the new generations are way harder to control than the previous versions. And then imagine like customers who are even, you know, let's say less tech savvy.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding you.
And I'm having trouble understanding you. Yeah. What activated the voice activation now? I'm not even sure. And I mean, this I haven't staged that. You know, you could say that, hey, Thomas, you staged that, right? But definitely, once again, we see what we see with the all-new Mercedes, just harder from the user interface. And sometimes you have these frustrating situations that you say, like, I'm not sure what I've just done here. And it's so sad because this vehicle still delivers a great luxury experience. You know, the high build quality, the great reliability that this Lexus always standing for. We also have a great seating comfort. Suspension is also fine. even though we don't have the adaptive suspension here. It will be even better with the adaptive suspension, so that's also another reason to go for the F Sport actually. So it's still a great mid-size luxury SUV, no doubt. But to me, really, this more complicated user interface is somehow interfering with the, just getting into the vehicle and enjoying it. You know that feeling? Some vehicles are just well built and everything is fine, and you get into the vehicle and you immediately understand how you can do this, 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 and this. And then you just start driving and just relax, enjoy the drive and don't care so much about what the car is doing and so on. But here there's always, when I do the next step, I always have to think about, wait a minute, how do I get there? Yeah, of course, these things will be better when this is your primary vehicle and you drive it for a longer period of time. It will get easier, but it doesn't make it good, The car is well designed also from the user interface, when you can get in the car and immediately understand everything. Yeah, that's the thing. Here, by the way, hybrid or plug-in hybrid drivetrain, this is where the advantages, of course, once again begin when I'm driving downhill for a longer period of time, all silence, combustion engine off, and I'm also gaining back the energy. This is, of course, where I can have more efficiency gains. And once again, such a relieving feeling here, driving all silent. And I wonder, we have the UX, which is all electric. Shouldn't they have launched the all-new NX pure electric as well? Maybe even at first hand? That would have been something, right? Yeah. So what do you think? Still, good driving experience here. You do not get the sportiest ride from that. This will also once again be better in the F Sport with the adaptive suspension. Still very well built, and the reliability is the thing that still speaks for it. So overall, very interesting driving experience. Yeah, but once again, the user interface here, not too happy with that overall. By the way, you can adjust here the gears, so to speak. This will basically boost the RPM. So when you want to have like an either spontaneous acceleration, or if you're driving downhill for such a long time that you maybe even need engine brakes, so to speak. But here with the plug-in hybrid, of course, this is not the biggest effect, because when you have this PHEV drivetrain here, you can gain back so much energy when you're driving downhill, and also for a longer period of time. In this case, you would not need this feature actually.
This here is the Genesis GV70 mid-size premium SUV from Hyundai's premium brand. Well, can it be one of the best mid-size SUVs overall? Let's find out. Thomas and Autogefühl, let's go. Once again, a very strong design by Genesis here in the front. This one is the Sport line with black accentuations in the lower part and also a darker frame around the grille. We'll also soon compare the luxury line, and this matte paint here is called Melbourne Grey Matte. So greetings to all our Aussies down under. And the LED lamps, slim integrated here, more than daytime running light. I think design-wise already very well done in the front. And here we have the other color for you, a white vehicle, of course, more color choice available. And this one is also the luxury line. That means more chrome accentuations here, upper and lower part. The length is at 4.72 m or 186 inches, and these here are 19-inch wheels minimum. Maximum goes up to 21-inch wheels. We'll soon check it out with the other car. Once again, a cool styling here for the matte paint. ECS, electronically controlled suspension, is standard, so these are the adaptive dampers. An interesting design clue is right here at the C-pillar, kind of standing upright. More reminds me of a Mercedes GLC, doesn't it? And then we have this separated window here in the rear. And clearly, when you go for a white color, this third window there in the rear becomes just more obvious. But it looks a little bit weird, doesn't it? And there it is, the white vehicle, which kind of looks completely different than the darker one from the side profile. Don't you think so as well? And here then the 21-inch wheels, really massive here for that mid-size SUV segment. And in any case, wheel arches painted in vehicle color. The luxury line here in the rear, definitely a sport look and really modern here with the flat integration of the rear lamps. How it looks like down there, yes, we have chrome in the luxury line, but this is also more about which engine do you have. This one here equipped with a diesel, and there is no exhaust pipe whatsoever. It's just really the rear one underneath, but I think that brings a really clean design. Design here for the sport line and petrol engine. You can see here this part, you know, is a little bit more accentuated than with this, you know, checkered structure. And then, well, Autogefühl fake exhaust element is present right here because the rear exhaust on the inside, the outer tips are fake. Well, the air does go through, but still a case for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police. Otherwise, you know, the rear design is really cool, I think. By the way, some more colors. This one here is called burgundy, so a very, very dark red. Oh, and what about the strong red one? They really have a nice red exterior color, don't they? And turning indicators, we know it from Genesis already. They're really, really cool, both hazard lights and turning indicators with this double LED scheme here in the two stripes. That doesn't count for the GV70 in the rear here though, because they are then placed in the lower part. Well, it has a reason. Because when you open that hatch, then they would otherwise disappear. Well, 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 but the German eye discovered this one here, the Spaltmaße, the panel gaps, and look at that here. Not really happy with, you know, how the hood is being bent here in the front, so this is kind of like too big the gap. And then also a secondary part, what is this here? You know, this overlapping hood here in the front. Not sure why they did that in this exact kind of way. Luxury line interior. Here it becomes obvious why you should go for the sport line in this case if you decide between these two. Look at that steering wheel. We know it from the bigger models. It just looks, yeah, too traditional, too old school, I think. Here and also with animal skin seats. There in the base model you can get a beige or black leatherette, so they covered this one definitely, but it will be even more interesting in the sport line to come. And there we go. This steering wheel looks way more likable. Sport design, somewhat similar as we know from the G70. However, there's one big change here. There are still real buttons in the steering wheel, glad we have them, but then also some capacitive buttons, but at least it's not all capacitive, so they found still a good mix. And then this would be the other alternative to the pure leatherette seats. They are available, these ones here in the sport line. A mix of fabric right here and then leatherette right there. So according to the information, also animal free, and they are more breathable than, of course, if there's a fabric share. So these are then indeed also seats to go for. Pretty cool. But let's not forget the car key. Also here with this remote parking function, by the way, soon more to that. And then the door closing sound. Yeah, quite nice. But yeah, beep, 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 beep. Inside of the doors, here, soft touch. Good look, also contrast stitches, and also nice quality here from the buttons and so on. So this looks all really good, and also how everything is processed, and also the, you know, all the panel gaps here on the inside, really superb. When I shut down the ignition, steering wheel comes up, seat moves backward. When I activate the ignition, steering wheel comes down, seat comes forward, and yeah, of course the quite obvious beep, 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 something. We know it. Yeah, it's actually a very nice seating position. You have a lot of room around you, and you don't feel like the huge difference to the bigger GV80. So this one here already feels quite sophisticated. I've also driven the G70, the sedan, the, you know, sister model to this one here, and I found that the difference G70 to G80 is way larger than here GV70 to GV80. Quite interesting, isn't it? So good seating position, nice fabric seats, breathable. One means a 6.1, enough space left. So far, good. Here the interior overview. You can see a very clean design, especially here then. Leatherette dashboard, and then this 14.5-inch widescreen taken from a G80 or a GV80. So this is a major difference also if you compare the sedan brother, the G70 here, to the GV70 SUV, where the sedan gets the smaller screen. And here also some more updates. This area more modern. Looks really cool designers, and I'm really glad they kept the temperature dials here in a manual way. Just the vent strength has to be controlled by the screen, but yeah, I can live with that as long as this one here is still there. So this is kind of like a mix of traditional and modern, I would say. And you still have hard hotkeys here, for example, to access the map.
There's also a very interesting screensaver here, of course, and you also have a lower home button to access the main menu there again. Again, the steering wheel perforated at the sides, and then you can still also have these hard keys here, capacitive button to activate the cruise control, for example. Soon also to these three-dimensional instruments a little bit more. Head-up display is available. And here in the lower part, yeah, we can see here, it's an interesting cubby hole, but for the smartphone, but goes really deep in there, so you really have to bury out your smartphone there always. And this is also a very interesting part right here, because you remember in the GV80 or in the G80, this one here is this one is completely shallow. You can only do like the DJ. And now they switched it to a real knob here. You can actually like use like this, and this is way more practical, so much easier to cruise through the menu. It was said before that maybe you can mistake then the shifting lever. Here they are shifting, it's not a shifting lever, it's shifting knob with that one, but I think no, because this one is just so much more here, and you just use it once or twice, and this one then is also a little bit higher and it feels differently. So I don't think that I would mistake this one for that one. Would you? Cup holders are also adaptive, nicely done. And we have this middle armrest, could be a little bit better attached. Underneath, more space. And the digital instruments have a 3D effect, but you cannot see that on camera just with your own eyes. And then the middle contents can be changed. Then we have a head-up display, useful option. And yeah, these guys are cleaning a Thomas Blue Genesis G70. Check out that review as well. And by the way, another proof of quality, or how these gaps or how these contrast stitches are very well aligned. And then there's infotainment system, once again, so much easier to control it now from below and so much quicker. Again, a great screensaver, like where you have the transition to the map. However, the software itself, yeah, I mean, it's okay and also better than past ones. Still, you know, with this kind of hook thingy for the pinch and zoom, I don't know what they're thinking, why they are not finally removing that. Yeah, and then, for example, here, seat controls, you have some detailed settings right there if you don't want to do them by the seat themselves. There's a terrain mode available even, you know, yeah, but at the moment it's off, but nice visualizations here for the vehicle. I can also start the car and show you more about that. Here we go, then you have even better visualization for that, and we also have these degree angles and so on. And then the CarPlay integration looks like this, and you still have a map then on the right side because it's so much widescreen actually. And let's listen to that sound system. Yeah, very clear. In the rear, there's also this leatherette cover for the rear door here as well. And then there's also an advantage if you compare now the G70 sedan. Here you have more legroom because you sit more upright. This exactly fits then. Also headroom wise, no problem. There's a nice hanger here also for your jackets. However, if you compare it to other SUVs in this segment, it's not the most, not the most plentiful legroom here there is, but it's actually okay. Then the back part of the seat can be adjusted more upright or more to the back. Oh, like really like a sleepy position. Goodbye. So that goes really far. There is a huge middle tunnel here, however, so moving in the back here is quite complicated. In the middle part you sit quite upright, also gets close with the knees, so rather 4 tall adults, and the 5th tall adult is maybe like just for short term. Nice rear climate unit here as well, and also 2 USB-A chargers actually. And then in the middle part we have cup holders. They are not adaptive though. The trunk opens here like in the Porsche Macan, and 540 up to 1,680 liters. That's not too much actually because it's not that high. However, you have an even loading still. The length here of the trunk is 96 centimeters. Or about 37 inches, and the total height right here 28 inches or 72 centimeters. The width between the wheel arches, it's very interesting, is definitely a good meter or 40 inches, and you can see here a backpack also fits here. And well, underneath the cover, the thing is, when it fits like this, it's being kept tight, but this like a little bit wobbly. That's the disadvantage to that, but then you can keep things tight with that, so there's pro and con to that definitely. But even more interesting is of course when we take it out completely, and there's something which is created in a very nice solution here, because here in the front, first of all, listen to that carefully, click. So this one is kind of secured with a click, but when it's open you can remove the side pads here, and then there's actually really space to store that rear cover. So here we go, change it now, see, works. And then we can fold the seats from here, that's also quite practical. 1/3, 2/3 split, and indeed folds very directly. And when we then measure the length to the driving seats, it's almost 180 in meters. That means some 70 inches, overall well usable. And one of my favorite features when you approach the vehicle, this functionality was introduced with the previous generation Hyundai Tucson. Here you just wait a little bit, it beeps, and then it automatically opens without you needing to make a foot kick or something. And it's really practical when you have heavy items in your hand, and opens quite fairly wide. I can stand underneath it with one way A6 or 6.1. And child safety test, let's see. Yeah, also proven. And of course, beep, beep, beep. And now to that remote parking function. So even if the car is already closed, you always have to hit the close button again, and then directly after that, the right one in the top. Then, you maybe heard it, the car has started. And then let's just imagine it's like in a very tight parking spot. You can move it actually with the key. Okay, there we go. I had to be a little bit closer to the vehicle. And now it's rolling forward. See here, when I'm getting too far away, it automatically stops, so I have to be closer. Come on, here we go. Come on, buddy. Yes, good boy, and not goodbye. Good boy, from good boy to goodbye now. Also works here, reverse, by the way. The GV70 gets the more modern engines than the sedan brother, the G70, here with more displacement. So that's an interesting trend. 2.5 liter 4-cylinder turbo engine with 250 or 300 horsepower in this spec, then here 6.1 seconds in the acceleration, or the 3.5 liter V6 and with 380 horsepower and 5.1 seconds, so a second faster. And then there's also a 2.2 liter diesel. Oh, look at that, these firefighters having a great time with their vintage vehicle. Obviously taking some photo. So let's go here, Thomas's driving lounge with the Genesis GV70. This will be very interesting. Why? First of all, first time for me in this vehicle. Then, how is it rating against Mercedes GLC, Audi Q5, BMW X3 for example, and how does it rate against the bigger Genesis GV80 SUV, and also comparing it to the G70 sedan, the platform brother. So actually then 3 different very interesting aspects. And of course overall, how good is it, in this segment? And first I have to say, exterior wise, great styling. Interior wise, good build quality, and also the user interface is still somewhat classic in a way that we can easily access a lot of the functions. And now driving wise, the platform itself feels quite agile and light. There's a big difference to the GV80 definitely. But the thing is that from the interior, from the perceived interior space, it doesn't feel so much smaller. This is a very interesting key finding for me here already. So when I compared really the G70 versus the G80, so mid-size sedan versus their big sedan, huge difference already from the interior, and also driving-wise, huge difference. But here then, the differences GV70 versus GV80 are not that large as you might expect. And this one here also has a lot of modern features, and of course has the same infotainment system, for example. This one has the more modern engines, the bigger engines, the more powerful engines. And in a way, of course, this one feels more agile than the bigger SUV. And also for an SUV, it feels quite agile. With their big vehicles, Genesis rather goes to a you know, very comfortable luxury approach here, and with their mid-size vehicle, they definitely feel sportier and more oriented in the sporty directions also if you compare it to the German competitors. So their G80 and GV80 more against Mercedes E-Class and Mercedes GLE, where I feel that this one here is rather against the Q5 or the BMW X3 from, you know, the basic philosophy. Cruise control set here at the steering wheel, and then I select here with the hard button. That is actually really cool. Then let's see the lane keeping assist, if it's keeping me in the lane. Yeah, so far quite well. Now it's a little left bend and not too intrusive yet. Blind spot monitors also with this vehicle. There's like a warning triangle. Let's see when that Volvo is overtaking us now. There we go. So there's a red triangle then in the side mirror, and then also get this acoustic warning if I hit the turning indicator. And by the way, when I hit the turning indicator, it feels so sophisticated when you put it down. That's really, really nice, really awesome. This engine here, you do feel it's just good to have a little bit more displacement, and if you compare this 2.5 liter against the 2 liter in the G70, so it's just, you know, more calm on the one hand, at the same time it's also more powerful. Yeah, and that's of course a good thing. Noise insulation here so far, so good. 120 kilometers an hour, so like 70 miles an hour, typical motorway speed. And I don't have to raise my voice that much. It gives me a very comfortable and pleasing experience. Here, especially the fabric seats are so much more comfortable than the rather stiff, you know, surface from the animal skin. And yeah, so that is also a thing that adds to the comfort, definitely. And agile driving wise, doesn't shake up too much. So once again, doesn't lean too much into the corners and so on. Feels actually quite sporty. Steering feeling is rather direct. So let's see how natural it feels. Yeah, it could feel a little bit more natural. However, I think it's quite okay. And also I feel in the GV70 a little bit better than in the G70. Maybe they tuned that already. So I do feel quite one with the vehicle already. And oh, that's set. I take out. Okay, that's a little bit smaller. But the thing is, really, it's an easy vehicle to learn. You get in the vehicle and you immediately feel at home, and you get along very well. So let's now accelerate from 90 kilometers an hour to what? Let's see. That's 120. And about that engine sound, by the way, you can also go to the main menu, and really glad to have this lower control unit because I don't want to, you know, put my fingers around that screen while driving. Now I set the cruise control. When I'm a little bit distracted, it's always definitely safer to do and go to settings. And then there's here active sound design, and let's put it to the enhanced mode. Let's listen to that. Yeah, that's interesting. So that's now like, whoa, are we in a V6 now? There's also a V6 available, but we're not in that one here. However, the 300 horsepower we have here definitely more than enough for this vehicle. But yeah, I feel also this feels a little bit better sound-wise than it does in the 2-liter 4-cylinder of the G70. You're gonna check out that video. That was a little bit weird how that sound actuator was there. So yeah, maybe here put it to normal or minimized or something, and then I think it's absolutely fine. You're also in traffic on the motorway, feeling good. Overview, good view to the rear, also to the sides. And I really have to say, this is such a good package they're offering. So exterior-wise, they can easily keep up with the Germans. This is of course a matter of preference. Interior-wise, the build quality is great. Then they find something, you know, like a compromise of modern things and you know, still real buttons and things to use, and this is just so much better than like the way Mercedes is going now at the moment. So this one more like in the direction of where BMW has been heading, and this one here also feels so much more sophisticated. The suspension is really good, 19-inch wheels. I would also advise
not to go for the 21-inch wheels or the 20-inch wheels. Stick with these ones, they will deliver best comfort. So good compromise of comfort and sportiness. And I feel that also the suspension they use here is somehow better than in the bigger models, or if that, reduced weight or something also plays a good role in that. So with the G80 and the GV80, I sometimes had like this push in the back, like when you're going over some uneven parts of the road, like, whoa, that was not feeling that sophisticated, definitely. From what we've seen from the interior and also now driving wise, this is the best Genesis model at this moment. No doubt about that. It feels most sophisticated, it feels most modern, yet at the same time they've kept some of the elements. We are happy that they kept them, like the manual climate dials and so on. It feels really spacious on the inside. It's very comfortable here on the German motorway, also long term. Yet at the same time, it's so much more agile than their bigger models. So this model here for the Genesis lineup does it all. It is the best. Compromise sounds so bad, but it takes the best of both worlds. You feel like you would be driving a big SUV without having the disadvantages of having like a super large SUV. By the way, here the top part of the windscreen has like a, it's like a tinting or something. So this transition then is really smooth. This blue is Thomas blue color of the windscreen, and therefore most of the time I don't even need to use the additional shield, and this really protects against the top part of the sun. Also a very clever detail, or a very clever feature. So they really paid attention to the details with that vehicle, and I just love that. Lane change here, by the way, feels very natural, and once again, I'm really happy with the steering here. I wasn't quite happy with the steering in the G70, but here obviously in the newer model, they worked more on that. Exactly what I told them with the G70 they should still update. Well, there's a facelift now for that, but obviously they, forgot to put more effort in that. Let's also push that drive mode selector here and set to sport mode, and also enhance sound, and yeah, this just sounds more spectacular. And from like 90 kilometers an hour when we're already at speed, let's accelerate it out. ...170 kilometers an hour. Yeah, good acceleration. Very nicely done. That was very cool. And also here, super silent here at higher speeds, and also very stable. I feel this one is even more silent than the sedan version, which is, not logical because it's the SUV and stands more against the wind. But once again, that proves the thing that this is here, kind of the most sophisticated Genesis vehicle. And to me, it feels even more silent, and also like the bigger brothers. Yeah, they have this active noise cancellation, but you maybe know that I'm not such a fan of it. Here, by the way, augmented reality in the GPS display here. This is also pretty cool. So there I have like a better signal of like which lane should I really pick. There's a camera image, and together then it's showing me, okay, this is like the exit you need to take. Also a very good feature. So definitely. Really, no matter what the price is, if you ask me at the moment, which Genesis vehicle would you pick? Overall, from all of them, haven't driven the all-electric one yet, like the G80 all-electric, which is coming. But so far, really have to say, the GV70, it will be. So, there's gaps in the hood and this overlapping hood there in the front, which I could criticize, but here, by the way, once again, the cameras, when you hit the turning indicators, sees another blind spot feature, basically, from the side mirror cams. So yes, this hood overlapping, and the infotainment system software can always be better. Most of the time, probably you will end up using Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. But it looks at least cool, especially, this is my favorite view of the infotainment system with that kind of screensaver mode, so to speak. But I really have to search for anything that is wrong with this vehicle. There's just hardly anything wrong with this vehicle. It drives very well, so well built. I'm really, really impressed. And I have to say, if we consider now Mercedes GLC, Audi Q5 and BMW X3, they are all excellent vehicles, no doubt. Volvo XC, 60, of course, as well. They're all very, very good. But this one here is definitely among the best premium mid-size vehicles, period. So, thumbs up here for the Genesis team. And also good for me personally, of course, that they have the leatherette seats in the base option, and they also offer these fabric seats here in the sport line, so they also learned more about that. So it will be very, very interesting if they can succeed on the European market. They are trying to attack the European market right now. They're already popular in the US, and in Europe it's so tough to compete against Audi, BMW, Mercedes in the premium segment. Will it work? If you then think about the pricing, so you can easily live with an entry model of this vehicle and it's already fully packed, almost, you know. There's always something you can pick more, but if you compare it then, you know, to the other offerings on the market, and you pay like 50k euros or something, and you're done. And you can easily save 10,000, 15,000 euros or something to a competitor which is, you know, similarly spec'd. So, and then it's not worse in any aspect or something, you know. So the price performance in the premium segment here is definitely unmatched. Fuel economy, you have to calculate with some 9 or 10 liters on 100 kilometers, so something below 30 mpg.
So where does that leave us? The Mercedes GLC in the new generation with a lot of technology inside. User interface has become a little bit more complicated than in the previous generation, but it's still a great ride, and they also have decent seat materials to offer, and of course one of the most tech-specced vehicle now in this comparison. The Audi Q5 is, so to speak, a little bit more old school here now, has been on the market for quite a while, therefore has also an easier user interface. However, inside the model portfolio of Audi, it's not their best car overall, I have to say. The BMW X3 recently facelifted, so with very interesting upgrades indeed. For example, also the new perforated SensorTech seats. Overall a little bit more modern without going too far, so they have not introduced the BMW OS 8 in this vehicle yet. The Porsche Macan offers the sportiest ride. It is indeed one of the most fun SUVs in this episode. It will more or less stay the same as the combustion engine version. The new Porsche Macan will be the electric Macan, but they will still let the combustion engines run that way. It is fairly modernized recently also, and the Macan T here, for example, is also sufficient as for the engine. The Lexus NX, also in the new generation, usually it always stands for great reliability. Overall, of course, the Lexus hybrid system for low fuel consumption would be the main point there. The Genesis GV70 definitely can keep up with all of these competitors. It's also a very decent ride, and the user interface is also very cool, and also the looks on the outside. Maybe suspension wise the Germans are a little bit better there, but definitely it is a fierce competitor. All of these vehicles are for sure very nice picks. The Lexus NX might be the best if you search for the best reliability, however to me not so much driving fun. The Genesis GV70 is a very good all-rounder, and I have nothing to say against this vehicle indeed. The Mercedes GLC in the new generation is an impressive piece, however I found the seat ergonomics not at the top, and also the user interface in this new generation has become a little bit more complicated, as I said. The Audi Q5, I think, is still a very decent all-rounder, available as the SUV and the Sportback version. We had the Sportback version in this review because this was the newer one we filmed recently. The Porsche Macan is so much fun. Yes, it's not a new vehicle, but it still delivers you so much driving fun indeed. However, it is extremely expensive, so you gotta watch out for that. Driving fun-wise, definitely always plays a role. The BMW X3 is to me a very sweet spot. They have great perforated SensorTech materials for the seats, they have decent seating comfort, they have a lot of driving fun indeed, and they still offer a very decent user interface. To me, overall, the best package here from all of the vehicles is delivered by the BMW X3. That would be my pick for today, but which one is yours? And also tune in to more comparison episodes right here.